Good evening, everybody. If you could please take a seat so we could call the meeting to order. If you could also please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting and public hearing. Today is for Thursday, March 19th at the Great Hall in Stoughton. If you are able, if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have a couple of announcements. First, as I mentioned yesterday, our meeting schedule has been changing because of holidays and other meetings. So I've checked. We are going to have the last public hearing will be on Monday, April 5th here, because that's the only time we have this room available. And then we will hopefully be meeting also on Monday, March 30th. Yes? March 30th. Yeah. Yeah. So that that one will be a voting a business meeting, not a public hearing. And we'll likely talk about the budget at that night. I don't think we'll meet on the Thursday. So if we do on the Monday instead. Okay. First item on the agenda are the minutes from March 12th's meeting. Does anyone have any comments, corrections, changes, edits? Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes for March 12th as submitted? Thank you. Can you, everyone speak into the mics, and you may need to move them close to your mouth because otherwise they don't necessarily work as well.
A motion to approve the minutes for March 12th, 2026.
Thank you. And Becca seconded it. Thank you. All right, all those in favor, raise your hands and say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Nope. Thank you. The motion carries. All right. Our next item on the agenda is the continuation of the public hearings for the annual and special town meetings of May 4th. Could I get a motion to open? Joel?
I'd like to move that we open the public hearings for the May 4th annual town meeting and for the May 4th special town meeting.
Second.
All right, so the motion was made by Joel and seconded by Becca to open both public hearings for May 4th annual and special town meeting. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. So the first item on the agenda for the for the May 4th hearings tonight, we have Article 12, which is the operating budget. We have 4 departments. We have the Library, Council of Aging, Recreation, and Community Events. So we will start with A, the library. Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. And I apologize. I guess our meeting is April 6th, not April 5th. The page for this part is
Page 59.
Okay, good evening. If you could introduce yourselves for everyone.
Good evening. I'm Christopher McGee. I'm the director of the library.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
So I prepared this budget in cooperation with the town administration. And, other than contractual, obligations, it's a fairly simple budget. Our largest item, as you would expect, is library books and materials. Everything is footnoted. That is, if there's any substantial changes, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Joel, members of the committee, I'm open up to questions from the committee members. Joel.
Thank you. Under part-time wages, you have 4.3 FTEs. I'm assuming that's more than one person. How many people are we talking about?
Yes, it's more than one person. I think it's about part-time, maybe 10 or 12. I'm not sure at this time.
Yike. Okay.
All part-time.
How do you like the building?
We love the building. It's a beautiful space. Everyone always has a good time there.
My favorite building.
You're not at all prejudiced, are you, Joel?
No, it's as long as the books stay there and don't come home and become my house become the annex from my daughter. Arnie.
Good evening. I'd like to talk about the outreach coordinator. First of all, what is that person? What do they do?
So that position is outreach for the library, so it involves, in addition to delivering materials to folks who can't come to the library in person, there's also a number of marketing and promotional activities that the person does, coordinates any large-scale library initiatives. So most of the individual librarians plan their own programming, handle their own materials, but we do some things that all of the librarians participate in, and this outreach position coordinates those, anything that's a large-scale library initiative. So you often will see Ms. Yakabuchi, who is the outreach coordinator, out and about town, usually attending any town events, handles all of our, anytime we have tables at other events like Stoughton Day and things like that, she does that.
On the salary, I noticed that we've got a 34.42% increase from 45,767 to 61,521. Is this a raise?
I think part of it, just to note in the footnote, in the FY26 budget that we're looking at, the numbers that you're comparing the current new budget to, did not include a bunch of raises yet because the contract, they weren't included in last year's budget. They were transferred in after the fact.
So that's
this is-
correct. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So at the previous town meeting, annual town meeting last May, there was a collective bargaining agreement that was approved by the town that included some changes in salaries and some grade positions, some changes in grades, and those were not reflected in our budget at that time. So when you look at the FY26 approved budget, those numbers are actually much lower than the contracted salaries for those positions, which means that the percentage increases are slightly off for several of the positions, and this would be one of those. This position was upgraded in that contract so that it went from a grade 1 to a grade 3 now, and that reflects changes in the duties and obligations of the position. It was originally a part-time position, and then we changed the role of that position so that it has much more responsibility and is a professional position now, and that was bargained.
What was the, let's go up to the part-time wages. Was that an increase in pay or an increase in personnel?
That was an increase in pay. So similarly, there was a bargained increase for those staff, and that was not reflected in the FY26 budget. Those figures were actually put into the HR budget in anticipation that we would finalized that collective bargaining agreement after it had been gone to town meeting. So those funds were set aside in HR and then rolled over into the library's budget after the FY26 town meeting. But that was an increase for those positions that was bargained.
Thank you for his time.
Thank you. Heidi?
I don't know what green. I don't know what night differential is.
So that's a good question. So basically what that is the library operates beyond normal operating or business hours. So usually, business hours being 9 to 5 for most places. So staff who are professional staff who work after 5 o'clock, or if they work on weekends, they get a slight little night differential for working those off hours, those non-business hours. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, comments from members of the committee? All right, not seeing any. I'm going to open it up to members of the public, anyone that would like to make any comments or questions on the library budget. Please come forward and state your name and address. Cynthia?
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. I don't quibble with the budget, and like a previous speaker, this is the library, wherever it's been in my lifetime, has always been my favorite public building. But now that I'm disabled, not so much. I realize that the way in the front of the building for me to get in is technically not a ramp. It's a walkway, according to the building inspector. When the building was being renovated, I fought hard for a railing, and there is a railing. So going into the library, I can use the railing. Coming out, there's no railing on the other side. And I noticed that there doesn't seem to be any building supply. It says repairs. That's not a repair. That would be a new thing. So some people say, well, Cynthia, go in the back door. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. There is no curb cut. There's a concrete apron to get into the back of the library. There's no curb cut. I can't do curbs. The only curb cut back there is at the handicap parking, which means I have to walk around the apron to get to that. The other thing is, in the rear, there's no railing at all. Someone has to assist me in and out of the building. Coming to, it's usually the BAT bus driver, the Dial-A-Bat driver. Coming out, it's some poor person who happens to be there, whether I know them or not. I ask them for a hand to get me out of the building. So it really is distressing. And it's not just me. If you have a stroller and you're trying to get in the back of the library, you have to lift it up over the curb to get in. It's not just those of us who are disabled. It's just for anyone. And I know it's not in this budget, but I wish somewhere in the future there'd be a line for some accommodations for those of us who are disabled. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments on the library budget? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you. We will next move on to the Council of Aging budget. Which is page 54. Hi, thank you. You can introduce yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Chair, and to the rest of the Finance Committee. My name is Janice Bruce, and I'm the Director of the Stoughton Council on Aging. And I believe before you, you have the FY27 COA budget. And if you look it over, you'll notice that it reflects a 2.88% increase from last year, which is primarily due to contractual increases. The overall budget has changed minimally, and it is fairly straightforward. I feel it's an efficient budget in supporting the COA's wide array of services and programs. As per the footnotes, you can see several of the changes that have been made. I'd be happy to go over each one. So the first one, you'll notice it says an increase in the outreach salary, which is reflected by this position's return to a full-time 35-hour-a-week position. The second one is just longevity pay, which is also contractual. After so many years, an employee can get an increase. That's what that's for. The third footnote is about the senior activities line, and we do get a formula grant every year from the state. When we got an increase this past year of $1 per senior, which was about $7,800. So we would like to really utilize that in the best way possible. So we'd like to utilize that grant more for the senior activities and programs. And then the fourth footnote was about eliminating the travel line. That's basically for gas for our custodian, and that will be falling now into the facilities budget.
Thank you. Open it up to questions from the committee. Joel?
Yeah, under Administrative Director, the FTE is 0.4. Does that imply that you're sharing another thing somewhere, or?
No, actually, I am part-time.
Oh, okay.
In my previous role with the VNA, I was also the director of the Council on Aging. We split me between I was a human services director, so I had several departments. And when I retired, I said I still would love to work for the town in any capacity, and it was nice enough that I got hired to stay.
Thank you. I'm glad to see the social worker position be returned to full-time.
That's
Any other questions from members of the committee? Okay, not seeing any. Oh, Arnie, go right ahead.
Thank you, Carolyn. I just got a quick question. You said that the travel expenses was reduced because it's now on the facilities budget. What department is that in? I don't see a facilities line
yes.
on this.
This is the facilities department. When Paul Jaffoon was here, goes part with facilities and then near Public Works,
Okay,
and it's in that department.
thank you.
Jonna?
Just a quick question. Just not clear if I'm related to somebody on that committee. Can I vote, or can I ask questions, or should I recuse myself?
I think, yeah. I would say don't vote. I don't care I think if you ask questions, there's neither one of you are getting paid, I believe. So, I mean, but I think that would be appropriate based on my non-legal opinion up here. You have a question? Okay. Anyone else in the committee? I'll open it up to members of the public. Anyone in the public? Cynthia?
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. Part-time drivers seems to be gone.
the part-time drivers is now, it's not shown in here because it's in the formula grant budget.
Thank you. Obviously, I've had a lot to say about the Council on Aging, the Senior Center. The first comment I would make is everyone is excellent. As a previous speaker said, the social worker was a great help to me. I didn't have an appointment. I walked in desperate. I had no heat on the day when it was like 12 degrees. And, I mean, she gave me a list of contractors to call. 'Cause my own oil company failed me completely. She treated me like I had an appointment, and what I had to say was important, and in fact, she squeezed me in between people that had appointments. A lot of seniors have difficulty accessing the services that they're entitled to, or they may not even know are out there. And younger people who are caring for an aging parent may also not be aware of what's out there. One of my biggest criticisms is the transportation. What we have is wonderful, but it's not enough. On more than one occasion, I've called and I have been told, with a medical appointment, I'm not talking the hairdresser or a restaurant or something, I have a legitimate health appointment, and they're just booked solid. They can't fit me in. Now, Stoughton seniors can also use Dial-A-Bat, but Dial-A-Bat won't go to Easton, they won't go to Randolph, and the Council on Aging does. So you really have to reconfigure your appointments. And on Friday, because everything closes at noon, you have to have your appointment and be back in Stoughton by 11. My cardiologist only works in Brockton on Friday. It's very hard to get an appointment between 9 and 10. I mean, those are the only times available. So I wish there could be more transportation. The other thing is, I really believe that serving seniors lunch at the senior center is just more than nutrition. It's also socialization. Many, many seniors, not from their choice, have lost a lot of family members. They've died or they've moved out of state. And many people like myself, our best friends have passed away. So it's important that these folks get out of the house and meet other people, have some new friends. Because of the space limitations and the time limitations at the present senior center, they can only serve lunch on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I believe I'm correct. And some people come on all 3 days. Transportation to and from home for lunch is free. And people take advantage of that. Although the meal has a cost, it's minimal, and everything says if cost is a problem, speak to Janice or speak to Becky or speak to someone, and they will try to accommodate you. So not everyone is left out because of economics. So I'd like to see lunch at least Monday through Friday and more transportation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any, from the audience, public, have any comments or questions about the library? Oh, I'm sorry, Council on Aging. All right. Oh, no. But unfortunately, no. All right. Nope, just Diet Coke. Anyone else have any comments on the Council on Aging budget questions? Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next, we have Recreation. Page 62. And I believe, first of all, congratulations are due. You were the proud father of a beautiful baby girl.
You got it.
Hey.
6 days old. I feel great. I feel great.
You are here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would imagine you feel great. How did your wife feel?
She's not happy I'm here. Not pleased. I told her I'll be quick.
We'll do our best to help you with that. Okay, so recreation budget.
All right, so what I'll do, Matt Koshan, Recreation Director, Recreation Youth Services Director. What I'll do is I'll go over some budget, any of the increases, and then I'll go over some quick budget highlights. So first, if we look at our salary line, anything noticeable that sticks out would be the exceptional children's line and the summer playground line. These are lines we use for our summer programs that we use to bring in experienced staff with certain qualifications. As I'll touch on later, our summer program is booming, and we're seeing lots of various needs, and we need to meet those needs. So a lot of these employees, all of them have their masters in education and are licensed teachers. And again, they're equipped to handle things that we're seeing down there. And they're doing a great job at it. If we go down to our expense line, we have a slight increase in our grounds maintenance line. We're in a 3-year contract with our landscapers. So this was going an expected increase for that contract to go up. If we go down to contract services, this line went up slightly. Over on the Youth Commission side, I'll touch on a little bit later, we implemented a new system for our clients, for client documentation, client communications, and to strengthen our HIPAA compliance. So that was for that. And then just another line, the playground supplies line. That is not for playgrounds like swings and stuff like that. We call our playground program is our summer camp program. It's just called a recreation summer program. So that has been bumped up a little bit as well. Just some quick budget highlights. Our South School program had an overall 29% increase in attendance last year. Our team program, which is in the 2nd year in existence, had a 36% increase. Overall, year-round programming was up 21.8% with just under 3,000 registrations. In September, our CPC project for the multi-sport court at Halloran was completed, and we have more facility improvements on the way, as you'll see later tonight. On the Youth Commission side, the clients implemented updated practice policies, allowing them to increase client capacity and eliminate their wait list. Between counseling sessions and group programming, our clinicians adequately maintain a busy schedule. As I mentioned before, the Youth Commission transitioned into this online database for client documents and communications. We work with IT on this to make sure it's secure, and it does strengthen our client, like I said, communications and our HIPAA compliance. We've been with the Youth Commission for about 5 years now, and that collaboration has been absolutely amazing. In May, we've released programs to highlight Mental Health Awareness Month in May. They continue to come down to our summer program and to aid with any issues that we have down there, and I'm very proud to represent that department. That's all I have, and I'll open up to any questions that you may have.
I just have a quick question. How many people are actually working in the Youth Commission?
So we have 2 full-timers, and then at the moment we have one intern from Bridgewater. He's a master's level intern. We also have one who was an intern who stepped away to a private practice, but he's coming back. He runs certain programs for us, and he's actually going to be part-time at summer camp this year. So 2 full-time and 1.5 part-time.
And the 2 full-time are basically social workers or LMHCs?
They're both LMHCs. One just got her LMHC, so they are both now, correct.
Okay, thank you. Joel?
Thank you, Matt. No bicycle questions this year. Okay, so, but I think for the purpose of everybody here, could you go over the areas that you cover for maintenance? What are the actual areas?
Yeah, so we oversee the John Dennison Athletic Complex, which...
That's by the Wilkins School, right?
Yeah, which is formerly known as the West School Athletic Complex. So it's the 4 softball fields and 2 baseball fields. So we oversee that. We oversee any irrigation over at Halloran Park. We oversee any maintenance of the playgrounds at Halloran Park, Lessa Playground, the Wilkins School Playground, and that's about it.
Mr. Coulter, any reason why this maintenance work can't be done by the Parks Department?
Yeah, so that's been brought up a lot. So
Well, it's brought up again.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason why is like we need those athletic fields cut weekly at a certain time. A lot of times with the tournaments going on, we need those landscapers to come in early. The DPW, they only have so many staff in their forestry department, and they have so much land to cover that they just wouldn't be able to properly do it. Whereas like when we're contracting out, they're able to aerate, they're slice seed, do whatever else we need to properly manage these fields. It would really bog down DPW in my belief, and obviously it would be more of a Tom question, DPW question, but you probably have to hire more full-time staff and whatnot, which would probably be more than $50,000 with healthcare costs and everything else.
Okay, thank you.
Arnie?
Good evening. This is a curiosity question. On the Exceptional Children's Program, did you have an increase in children in that particular program?
Yeah, so it's just called the Exceptional Children's Program, but it's used for our summer program. So it's not a specific program. The line should probably be named something differently.
You
But
can
as,
name it anything you want.
Yeah.
I was just curious as to the number of children that you're servicing have increased, which explains the increase in price.
Yep, so the overall South School program, which is ages 4 to grade 11, I should say, was up 29%. For instance, our peak this summer was around 220 kids a week. And then our teen program alone was up 36%, and that was in its second year of existence. That teen program sold out almost every week at 40 kids per week, and this year we're going to up it to about 50 to 55 to expand that.
Thank you very much.
Heidi?
I understand the ground maintenance piece. I don't understand the list of the West School Athletic.
So the West School Athletic line is a part-timer that we use to go out there to do the trash, do the bathrooms, clean the bathrooms. I have them do various work to raking fields, really any kind of dirty work you could do out there. There's a lot more work than what the landscapers will do. The school department helps out a lot whenever there's a school sporting event. They're responsible for like lining in the field, raking and stuff like that. But when we have like youth sports, adult sports, I have them go out there and do various grounds needs.
Thank you.
Ian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Matt, I think in the past there's been a 5K that happens in the spring, which raises money for swim lessons. I was under the impression that that's happening actually in the fall. So I was just wondering, is there anything for scholarships for doing swim lessons this summer?
So we've actually been approached by like the Lions Club to help out with that. But along with our increase in just program revenue, we'll be able to continue to offer those free swim lessons. And what we do is we just work with the schools, and they find us Stoughton families only in need of those free swim lessons. I did have it on my sheet. I think last year we gave out 16 free swim lessons to Stoughton families. So we will continue to do that, and we'll have that 5K in the fall. That's just because we're going to do one big Stoughton day.
Great, thank you.
Jonna?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to ask, I know you have Waltham Chemicals spraying in the field quite often. Is there any way to find out definitively what kind of chemicals they're spraying?
So when Waltham is out there, that's actually contracted out by the schools. So they might look like they're out on our fields, but they're not. So that would be a question for like the facilities director from the schools.
Thank you very much.
Mark? Go right ahead, Mark.
Thank you. Mine's more of a comment than a question, I guess, but I just want to thank you for the amount of your budget and the amount of stuff that you guys offer and do is amazing. And that's really all I really wanted to say on that on a comment.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It's just amazing the amount of services and
Thank you.
stuff you guys do, and I want to say thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from members of the committee? Any questions or comments? Not seeing any. If I open it up to the public, anyone that has any questions or comments on the recreation department budget, feel free to come up and just state your name and address for the record. Okay. Not seeing any, we will move on to the next item of the, what? On the agenda, which is the community events line item in the budget. Yes. Yes. We are going to help him accommodate that. We will take the first article, the article that he has before us as well, will come right after this. Page 66.
All right, so once again, Matt Koshan, Recreation Youth Services Director for Community Events. The increases this year, you see an increase to the 4th of July parade line. It's really also a line that we pay the fireworks out of. There's an increase to the fireworks again. We're on a 3-year contract, and every year that price slowly goes up, so that is to reflect that. And then the other one is the community events general line has a slight increase. This is for like pop-up events that we've been doing. This fall we collaborated with the DPW department and we did a pumpkin smash. So you would bring your pumpkin right after Halloween. The kids would smash it. We dropped it from like fire trucks. We did like a whole little event. And then the DPW cleaned up the pumpkins and they actually composted them and actually saved the town a lot of money because instead of throwing your pumpkins in the trash, which you pay for weight at the landfill, you're not paying for that anymore, you're composting it, so it all kind of worked out great. And then we help out with the police department. They do like their Nightmare on Rose Street as well. So these are for like pop-up events that we've been doing, things like that, so a small increase.
Okay,
That's
thank
all I
you.
have.
Becca?
If, as in years past, God forbid, it rains and we cannot do the fireworks, are we just putting that money back into the general fund?
So we have a rain date for the fireworks.
I'm sorry?
So we have a rain date for the fireworks.
I know, but I think like a couple years ago, we just couldn't do it at all. Like, so if, God forbid, that happens.
Yeah, it'll go back in the general fund.
Okay, thanks.
Mark?
Mine has to go with the fireworks. This year, what date is it?
It's the same one. It's going to be July 1st. So we're on that 3-year contract. So it'll be July 1st, the rain date, July 2nd for the next couple of years, at least another year.
Right, well, that was going to be my other question. When we go to renew, are we going to stay on this schedule? Because I believe it was a little less expensive, which it's fine. I haven't heard any negatives about it being on the first.
So we'd probably stick on that schedule if, we look to change it. If you went to like the 3rd or 4th, they're called premium days. Just talking to the company, it's double the price.
Right.
If not more, depending on what's going on with pricing of fireworks, because they're all coming from China. So we'd probably stick to the 1st and 2nd.
Okay, cool. That seems fine with me. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other members of the committee have any questions on community events? Okay, not seeing any. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments on the community events budget? Cynthia?
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. My comment is, as a member of the 300th Anniversary Committee, I want to publicly laud Matt for his cooperation. Without his organizational skills, we 12 volunteers would be up a creek.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the audience? All right, we finished the part on Article 12, the 4 departments that we're talking about tonight. We are going to skip ahead to item 6 on the agenda under annual town meeting, which is the CPC Dennison Athletic Field renovations. So, actually, what article is this? 27, 26?
All right. So once again, Matt Koshan, Recreation Youth Services Director. First off, thank you guys so much for letting me taking this up for me so I can get back home to my family. I really, really do appreciate that. So Article 26, the Dennison Athletic Field renovations. So what this project will aim to do is to upgrade the failing softball field facilities. As I mentioned before, we oversee the John W. Dennison Athletic Complex, 4 softball fields, 2 baseball fields. The softball fields have just been in disrepair for a while. Just last year alone, not including whatever the high school was using, we had permitted over 2,000 hours of usage time between adult leagues, youth softball, private leagues. Adult softball is rising, I will say that. Youth softball has been staying pretty steady. So what this project will aim to do will be to replace the dugouts on all 4 fields, so 8 dugouts. 3 of the fields will get basic shade structure dugouts, little roof, some fencing in front, some fencing in the back, and some new benches. We are looking to do a more enclosed dugout on field 3, which is the varsity field and what is used most by youth softball. That enclosed dugout will have a small storage space. Obviously, will be enclosed on all 4 sides. Some of the remarks we get from softball parents and coaches are right now that dugouts are just inadequate for protection from the elements, from the sun, from rain. You have spectators that are right behind the dugouts. All these coaches have to do certain chorees and sorries to coach, but yet you have people walking the walking tracks literally right next to these kids, so there's really no barrier. So we're looking to improve that, and then the other thing we're looking to do is replace 2 of the dugouts. So on field 3 and 4, which are most used by youth softball, we're looking to replace the backstops. So those backstops have been corroded and bent and just need some better replacement. So that's really all I have, and I'll be happy to answer any
I have
questions.
a question. Are fields 3 and 4 closest to the Wilkins School, or are they the ones furthest from the Wilkins School?
So field 4 would be the one closest to the Wilkins School without lights. Field 3 would be the one next to the bathrooms that are out there.
Okay, thank you. And for the audience and anyone that does not have the articles in front of them, this is a proposed $650,000 article being funded, I believe, from the CPC. And if what I have is approximately $115,764 from the budgeted open space reserve, and then $534,236 from the undesignated fund balance. All right, that's correct. So that's the funding source for this article. I will open it up to any questions, members of the committee. Arnie and then Ian.
How many competitive quotes did you get for this?
Right now, I have 3.
Okay, and the one that you're specifying is the highest or the lowest?
It would be one of the highest ones. Yeah, and this would still have to obviously go out to bid. So there's contingencies tapped onto it.
So if we approve 650 and it comes out lower, that money will go back to the CPC?
That's correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Ian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. How long do you expect the work to last, and when do you plan on starting it?
That's a great question. So we'll have to work around, obviously, like we'll have to pass town meeting, get the money finalized in July, get bid docs going. My hope is that we start in the fall and can finish in the fall. When I've talked to some contractors, they said it's nothing too crazy. But if we can't do fall, the issue is obviously you can't really do winter. Your springtime, your issue is that's when high school softball is and all the softball leagues are. So it would be summer, back to that summertime. So I hope to get a quick start on this project, but that's pretty much our timeline.
Heidi?
So this is going to be going beyond just taking care of the fields, because I saw that there was a fence along the perimeter that was in there. Is that correct or no?
So it'll be 2 backstops being done. So right now the fields are all fenced in like a square. So right now we'll be doing 2 backstops in the dugouts and any fencing connected to the dugouts.
Okay, so the fence that's listed is just around the specified field that's being played on. It's not the fence that goes around the entire Madison.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know what you're talking about now. So not that. It's just the backstops on the softball fields that we're replacing.
Okay, are you, is that even in your purview to work on those fences at all?
Yeah, I believe it would be in our purview.
Okay.
It would be anything inside
It would
those
be
fences.
nice, the fence that goes from the courthouse to the high school.
Yes,
if
no, I
those-
know now. Okay,
to prevent people from trespassing.
yeah, definitely.
So, and then my other thing is the path that goes around on the perimeter. Is that something that's also being discussed, or is that something that's further down the road?
So that would be further down the road, but I consistently have our grounds crew, our landscapers touching up where it need be. But that's something that we know it's so utilized by the public that we need to make sure we keep up with it and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Arnie, then Dawn.
Hi. Thinking about this a little bit, can you give me an idea? I'm not looking for exact numbers, what the 3 quotes were?
For the shaded dugouts, it was around $30,000 to $40,000, again, off the top of my head.
No, I meant the competitive quotes in general. In other words, it was $650 for everything, am I correct?
I think it might be better to use the word estimates instead of quotes, just because the quotes are from when you go out to bid. We haven't gotten those, but the estimates are kind of really what he's talking about to get an
Agreed.
idea.
Yeah, so again, like I reached out to various companies looking for quotes on dugouts. So I grabbed a couple of those quotes on the dugouts, added contingencies to them. And then we had a previous study done, so I was able to use those numbers. So I took it from a various different angles and added on a safe contingency. But I haven't, like, we have to obviously go out to bid and you'll bid out the whole package. So we haven't done that yet, if that makes sense.
Artie, I think like it's good to just educate how we kind of handle these articles. A lot of us, we get estimates for various types and various phases of these projects, and then we add a contingency on it, so usually the number might be a little bit higher. When we go out to bid, it could come lower. I mean, the worst thing is to kind of give you a number of, say, 500,000 or 550, go out and get a bid and not have enough money. So you'll see a lot of these articles typically have a contingency built into them. That's a little higher than probably what the cost is going to be.
I guess what's going on in my mind is I just want to know that there are competitive quotes going on, and it's just not one quote.
Yeah, I believe, Arnie, that some of the information about the estimates or quotes are in the backup material as well.
Yeah, Matt got like 3 estimates on this particular project.
Thank you.
Dawn?
Thank you. Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. I would like to ask, what are you doing to the fields, if you could, other than the backstop? Are we redirting it, reseeding it? Is it going to be artificial turf or anything like that? And then, if you can give me that idea, I'm sorry.
So this CPC project is just the fencing and the dugouts.
Sorry. Would you be open to, if I gave you another company to add to your bids?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. At the end of the day, it has to go up public bid anyway, so
Okay.
it'll be open to anyone to bid on it.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the committee? Any questions or comments from members of the audience? Anyone like to speak on this article or have any questions on this article? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. All right, I am not seeing any. Thank you, Matt. You go home now.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate
Help
it.
your wife.
I will.
Oh. That's not him. No, it's a petitioned article.
Article 20
Walkway article is
is not him.
Yeah, it's not me.
Yeah. All right. I believe the next article, we're going to just skip. I believe we have some young people here that are about the soccer field. So we will move to that article first, which is Article 28 for the Cole soccer field renovations. And for the article, they are looking for, the amount is $827,275 from the undesignated fund of the CPC to do rehabilitation of the soccer fields. Thank you. And if the presenters would like to introduce themselves for the record and then explain a bit about this article, we would appreciate it.
Madam Chairman, before they do that, I'd like to introduce myself. I kind of snuck in. I'm Barry Kassler. I'm the Program Administrator for the Community Preservation Committee.
Thank you.
My name is Richard Terry, and I'm the current chair of the CPC.
Thank you.
And my name is Eric Smith. I'm a board member and a coach for Stoughton Youth Soccer.
And Chris Young, I'm the president of Stoughton Youth Soccer and a coach.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and the Finance Committee. Thank you for taking the time to hear Stoughton Youth Soccer proposal tonight. And I also want to thank Rich, Barry, Dwight, and the CPC team for helping guide us through this process. I'm going to talk a little bit about the proposal, and this is a project that we have with a project cost of total cost is $877,275 as an estimate. Those costs are divided into $50,000 that would be funded out of the Stoughton Youth Soccer budget. That budget comes from registration fees through the players in our program. Obviously, it is a volunteer-run program. And the remaining $827,000 is budgeted through CPC funding that we've reviewed with the CPC. So the purpose of this project is to implement field improvements at the Coldfields complex. It's the home of Stoughton Youth Soccer. Drainage of the field has been a bit challenged for many years now. It's due to the composition of the field. Basically, it is a former landfill with a concrete cap that had somewhere around 4 feet of soil over the top of that. And over time, that turf is compacted. And what's happened is as we get rainfall, there is nowhere for that rain or melting snow to drain off the field. So it collects even in a winter with minimal snow. The soccer program has experienced extended periods of soggy playing surfaces. We've had to repeatedly suspend the use of the fields, shift game locations in order to facilitate the season. Issues are more prevalent on fields 2 and 3. We have 3 fields in the Westfield complex. The field 1 is slightly higher elevation, so it does handle the drainage a little bit better. So this is a project to focus on remediation efforts for field 2 and field 3. It would include surveying and inspections and a review of the 2 fields over a 6-month period, and then we would do deep aeration, an addition of about 6 inches of turf, leveling, and adding drainage remediation to the 2 fields, field 2 and field 3. So that's a high level.
Sorry. Thank you. Becca first, and then all other members of the committee with any questions or comments.
As a previous soccer parent and coach, long time ago, is the idea that if this gets approved and goes through, you will not have to cancel because it rained?
That is absolutely. We make so we've done a lot of things to adjust how we are able to get our games played during the course of the year. We do lose a weekend. We lost 1 weekend last year, right? So we'll move things around in the current fields. There are areas that dry just a little bit better than others. But bottom line is we would like to have, not only do we want to be able to ensure that we can play the games, but play the games safely for our youth population, right? So absolutely.
Thank you. I just will make a comment that I often walk up there with my dog because I live somewhat near there, and I can definitely see the drainage issues on the field. Mark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, who owns the property that the soccer fields are on?
Yeah, we lease from the town of Stoughton.
You guys lease it through the town?
It's been a long-term lease, yeah.
Okay. So my second question is, are you going to utilize any of the town services to help remove, grade any of the work to lower this cost?
We did not, the quotes that we obtained were from outside parties. I think it's a little bit similar to what Matt had noted as far as resources availability and the timing in order to, but if that is a possibility and we can factor that into the bidding process, then it's welcome to do so.
Actually, through you, Madam Chair, if I could ask either the town manager or our assistant town manager, which might know the answer. Would any of your services help with the layout of the drainage of the field or any remediation of the fields to help lower the cost?
Yeah, I mean, we've met these guys on the field a few times, gave them our opinion. It is a field that's on top of a capped landfill, which takes an expertise that we got to be cautious with, something that town staff wouldn't necessarily be involved with. But we did guide them in the right direction, and they got quotes from engineers that we know well and trust.
Okay. And then one of my other things is with this drainage, I know that at the Gibbons, the Wilkins, they have I'm going to say the wrong term, but the gardens that the drainage goes into?
Rain gardens.
Rain gardens. Is that going to be a part of this or no? Or
It is not part of the current design. We do have about $50,000 in environmental engineering. That includes soil evaluation, excavation, and also a stormwater design. If that design happened to include some kind of rainwater design, then I guess that would be acceptable, but it's not explicitly in the current plan.
Okay, thank you.
Joel, then Arnie, then Heidi.
This is for our CPC administrator. I'm looking at the backup, and on the backup, it shows that you broke it down into a fiscal year 27 request and a fiscal year 28 request, and it looks like you're asking for all of it now, so maybe you could tell us what changed.
Yes, first of all, to get an article to town meeting, it has to all be awarded in a particular year. So even though the money won't all be spent in the first year, we're putting it together in one article so that it comes forward unified so that you can see the entire extent of the project, so that it's not like, okay, you come one year for this, and you're coming back the next year for something else. You're going to see all of it up front. It won't all be spent in that first year, but you will see all of it at once.
So basically, this is your estimate of when the expenditures are going to be taken during the fiscal years?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Thank you.
Arnie, then Heidi.
Thank you. I am not an expert in landscaping or anything like that, but you mentioned something that two of the fields were below the first field. In other words, the elevation was lower. So are you intending to increase the elevation of all the fields to accommodate, say, over the years it gets more compacted and everything else, so that these pools of water are no longer a problem?
That is exactly what we're looking to do. So Field 1 is of the highest elevation. Field 2 and 3 are lower elevation. So there's going to be about 6 inches of sod that will be added to each of those. They'll be dug up, aerated. We have a sprinkler system that'll need to be updated as well. We're also replacing the goals on both sides as part of that because we're raising the field. So as we raise the field up, it'll be leveled so that proper drainage can happen to the sidelines of each field.
Thank you.
Heidi?
We're talking about the elevation of each of the fields, and I see everything on the computer and on here that we're very, very focused on the fields, but the parking lot still has that funky shape. So when the fields are all drained and everything's lovely and the kids can play on the field, what about the parking lot? Is that going to be a disaster? Or are you also going to pave the parking lot?
So we would like the parents not to get injured when they're bringing their kids.
So my understanding of what is the responsibility of our lease is within the fence guidelines. And so we do park there, but every time that, I think it's once a year roughly, I believe the town repaves it or reshuffles around the material so that some of those potholes go away. But right now we don't own or maintain the parking lots per se.
But we do provide the annual maintenance on the fields themselves.
Okay, so you're just focused.
Correct.
So you're just focused on the fields and not on the parking lot?
That's correct.
I would suggest
Always
Mark.
Mark, through you. Mark?
I would be lying to you if I heard your question. We were having so.
I know you heard your name and you're like, oh boy.
I just want to hear your answer.
The question has.
Who asked the question?
All right, Heidi asked the question. The question is about the parking lots at the soccer fields because they're not under the control, apparently, the lease of the soccer league. So it's the town. So that's what Heidi's talking about.
Okay.
So, and I understand the elevation of each of the fields is different right now. We're going to even that out. And then the fields are going to be awesome for the kids to play. But what about parking and getting out of your car and being in the muck? Is there ever going to be a plan to pave the parking lot or how is that maintained? I don't have soccer players.
Yeah, no, that's the first time I've heard there's issues with the parking lot. So if
I don't know if there's, I would just assume if there's drainage issues with the field, the parking lot's going to be a disaster tier.
There are.
So if there's drainage issues with the parking lot, we would kind of look for the people that use it all the time to come see us, show us what the exact issues are, and we could evaluate it and move forward. I mean, it doesn't seem like that every problem can be solved. It can be engineered out, so it can be discussed. The fields too, I mean, I think we're talking about, because I know we were there meeting with these gentlemen. We're not picking up the fields like feet of fill here. It's filling in the holes and the depressions that have settled. So it's very minimal filling going on, and then they're going to aerate the other areas, and we're not really changing the overall grade from start to finish. It's just the dips in between everywhere. So it's not going to add more runoff to the parking lot areas or anything like that. There's no requirement to add rain gardens or anything like that because we're not increasing runoff.
All right, thank you. Keep him posted.
Ian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So you mentioned that you lease the land, you've got an agreement to use those facilities. I was just wondering, like, if I were a coach running a team and your fields were too wet, we've got a lot of elementary schools that have soccer fields. Would I be allowed to hold a practice at one of those elementary schools?
Right now, we've worked with Matt, and right now we have the South School and the playground area. We do have permits for those every weeknight from 4 to 8 or so, and then we also have the Gibbons School soccer field to help do that. One of the important things too that we will need to work with Matt on once we start this project is to figure out how do we continue to provide practice space for our players and our coaches and our teams. To a certain extent, we can hold off on, the travel league and the games because we can always work with the travel league to figure that piece out and, do something saying we can't have any home games for a year or whatever, however long it is. but we still have our rec division that plays every Sunday, which is about 230 kids. And then our travel is about the same. So right now, I just looked at it, we're a little bit shy of 450 kids, 73 coaches, 18 travel teams, and however many in-house teams which we haven't formed yet. And so that will be a concern, but what we're doing right now is trying to figure out how to do that, as well as then figure out how do we then manage the fields once we complete this, so that we can keep up with everything, so that we don't have to come back to the committee for more money. So, you know, ultimately, so we really want to make this sustainable for what we're trying to do. And I know you've coached, so I've seen you there. So.
Thank you. Mark?
With this timeline and all of the FY for first year, second year, third year, is this going to run into the sunset clause, or is that going to be eliminated on this one?
That's a great question. What we're doing is invoking a special condition with this particular project where they get an extra year than a project would normally have, knowing that they've got to divide it up this way. They don't want to put both fields out of commission at the same time.
Right.
So they've got to do them a year apart. So the answer to your question is yes.
So you will have that written into the language?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Okay, I'm opening it up to members of the public. Anybody would like to make comments on this article, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Desmond Belsky, 68 Cary Circle.
Lucas Gomes Acosta, 22 Pearl Street.
Thank you. If you want to comment on this article?
So I've played and volunteered at Stoughton Youth Soccer Fields for over 10 years. I've been playing for about 11, and just seeing how much important it is to families and kids and the community in general. I think that the recent wear down of the fields has honestly made them less sustainable and less usable, and that an investment would increase overall usage and ability for development and growth in children and their buildings of relationships and character as a person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have some other speakers, so if you guys, gentlemen, could introduce yourselves, name and address for the record.
Joshua Mace, 298 Central Street. My name is Lucas Bellevue, 350 William Kelly Road. I'm in 8th grade, and I go to the OMS. I played in the Stoughton Soccer League since I was in kindergarten. In all those years, I can't count the amount of times practices and games have been canceled at days after a rainstorm due to the conditions of the field. This causes us to miss out on valuable practice time and when games are canceled. And it takes a lot of work for the coaches to reschedule so we can get all of our 8 games through the season. The rain just sits on top of the fields, and sometimes they're the best defenders, because I play goalie, because they just stop the ball in mid-play. Because they're so deep. And yeah, that's pretty much all.
Thank you. We have some other speakers.
Callum Devy, 76 Summer Ave. Liam Fox, 45 Crockett Street. I just want to bring some awareness to this issue because I've been playing for over 10 years as well. I've done volunteer work. I've reffed down there, and my dad's been a part of the board, so I've seen these issues basically my whole life. My sister's gone through the same thing too. It's got to the point where even now games we're rescheduling to the high school, which we have to change our schedules for that, which just feels like instead of facing the problem straight on, we're being forced to run away from it. And so that's something like the renovations need to come soon. I actually felt so strongly on this. I did a project last year for my history class where we collected a bunch of reviews, and how people have similar experiences with the fields from not just parents but kids. And I also play at the high school, so I play with a lot of kids that have gone through for many years the same things that I did, and all of my experiences are mutual with others who have played there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dylan, and I live at 11 Alger Way. I play soccer in the Stoughton Youth Soccer Program, and I'm here today to tell you why I believe the soccer field should be replaced. One reason the soccer field should be replaced is that when it rains, the fields get swampy and you can't play soccer until they get dry again. My next reason is that there are lots of bumps and divots in the field. This can cause challenges while playing and it can cause people to get hurt. My last reason is that sometimes you don't get to play soccer the scheduled week because it rains. I know a lot of people that really care about the soccer fields and would be super happy if we got new ones. I challenged myself to raise $1,000 for the fields, and I was wondering if you could help too. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, all of the public speakers. You all were very eloquent. Anyone else? Mr. Terry?
Yes, I'm speaking as a former soccer player, a former soccer coach, and a United States Soccer Federation referee. And I refereed on that field 35 years ago, and it was terrible then. I showed up one day to referee a match, an under-19 boys, which can be challenging. And Paul DeFelice, who's since passed, was there with his backhoe working on one field, and he hadn't seen me in years. He said, "What are you doing here?" Dressed in a soccer referee's uniform. And I said, "What are you doing here?" We were both volunteering. And he was trying to mitigate the problems back then. So it's well overdue, and these youngsters deserve a good field. Because when they travel, and I've refereed all over the eastern Massachusetts area, these are some of the worst fields. And so we need to step up and help them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else like to speak on this article? Mark?
One of the things that a bunch of our people that just came up and talked made me think of about how much time, practice, and games are they spending outside playing and not on the computer, not on TV? Would you be able to guesstimate?
Let's see, I could speak for my team. So usually about 10 weeks of the year, about an hour and a half of a game, and 2.5 hours, so about 4 hours. So probably about 40 weeks during the season. We have 2 seasons, and then we have various different activities. So that could be for one player. You know, you're probably doing close to 100 hours of time on the field over the course of a year.
Wow. All right. Now, I think this is well overdue. I didn't play soccer. My sister did. And once again, it was horrible back 30 years ago. And so this is well overdue, and I commend you guys for putting this forward, and good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just so that all of you understand, we won't vote on the recommendation tonight. We will vote later and then make the recommendation for town meeting. But thank you all for coming and for speaking on the article.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we are going to go now back up in order. Do you guys need a minute?
Okay.
Actually, I'm just going to take a 2-minute recess.
The Mark Struck Stable Plus is $10,000 in case Martin's working on his truck.
Yeah. I'd like one. Yeah. Yeah, there's getting a little lot of these stainless, like, I'm not sure how many we need. All right, everybody, could we please take a seat so we can get going again? Thank you. All right, our next item on the agenda, we will go back up to Article 22, which is the CPC budget report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the same budget that we have every year, the same format anyway. The numbers change from year to year. It has, the motion has three main parts. One is expenses, administrative expenses, $71,500. The largest, we usually spend less than half of that in a year, and the largest part of that is my salary. It also goes towards advertising and dues. And then the next three figures, $143,000 each, are the three required 10% reserves for each of the three categorical reserves that the Community Preservation Act requires. And the remainder is $929,500 is the remainder of the budget, and that goes into the budgeted annual reserve, which is part of the undesignated fund. And then below that, we reserve funding to pay the annual principal and interest on bonds that were taken out in years past. And the total debt service this year is $314,968. And we haven't done any new bonding probably since 2021. So that number goes down every year.
Thank you. Open up members of the committee. Questions? Joel?
Yeah, could you tell us how much cash is currently in the CPC account?
Well, we did a calculation. What we really need to know for our purposes in terms of whether or not we can approve new projects is how much available cash. We wanted to do this with not counting the cash that's already spoken for, that's already been approved for other projects that have already gone through town meeting. So if you go to, I have a sheet. We started the year available cash with roughly $3.3 million. And what we're doing is we've approved projects that total, for annual town meeting, $3.3 million, but there was also a special town meeting approval of $985,000, which also had to come out of our budget. So what we're doing is we are using up all of our fiscal year 26 reserves. We're using up a good amount of our reserves that are basically the money that's been banked. And we're dipping in somewhat to fiscal year 27 money to pay for the projects that are in front of us. So what we will have left at the end of the next fiscal year in terms of available cash is $993,000.
Okay. That would be the end of fiscal year 27?
Correct.
900, and what was that number again?
993,965.
I'm writing this number down so when we meet next year, we can, I'll have it right in front of me. Okay. Won't have to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, any other members of the committee with any questions or comments on the budget of this article? Okay, I'll open it up to members of the audience. Anyone would like to make any questions or comments on this article on the CPC budget, please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Natasha Gomes, Precinct 2. My question is, as with many things in this town and many different departments, it seems like we are waiting until, things are almost obsolete before we make a move for repair or purchase. Is there a plan moving forward for 27, 28 on things that, or projects, departments that will be approaching you for those repairs that maybe you haven't seen or done any capital projects for in the last 10 years?
Well, is that question for me?
I will just so that people understand, the CPC doesn't do all capital projects for the town. Those are put by the. Okay, they are we pay everyone, there's a surcharge that's on your tax of I forget, couple of, forget the
1.5%.
1.5%, and it goes into a fund that they've been accumulating, and then they can administer that fund for projects that have to, that are of a community benefit, that you've open space, historic preservation, things like recreation. So both public and private, nonprofit groups have approached them for funding for various projects that would benefit the town, and the CPC can decide whether or not they will approve to fund it. Their budget has to be approved by town meeting, which is the point of this article. And any funding, any transfers and allocations of articles that they want to spend money on have to be approved by town meeting as well. But they don't, so they take what people bring to them and evaluate it and decide if it's something they think should be funded by the CPC. But it's not necessarily, they're not necessarily doing the planning of all the buildings and stuff in the town. That would be the select board. And then in the school committee for the school buildings. And I agree, there needs to be plans for these things, but it's probably really not in this capacity of the CPC to be doing that. All right?
Isn't there something called a 5-year capital plan?
Mr. Tisdale, he's the assistant town manager. He can explain a bit.
Natasha, you bring up a great point. We were just talking about it a little bit before. We do now have a 5-year capital plan, which a lot of the CPC projects that they fund are in that plan. There's various types of funding sources that those projects get paid for, and we every year around August, September, we ask the department heads to update the capital plan, so we're consistently 5 years out. Obviously, there's some items that might be further down the line. We have those parked, but the plan is physically shows that the next 5 years.
I guess I have a quick question. Does that capital plan include buildings?
Absolutely.
Like replacing buildings?
Yeah, any item over 25,000 is included in the capital plan.
So I could look and see that there will be somewhere along there would be school buildings and town buildings and major renovations.
Correct. So we just received a big document from the schools for their capital plan that they hired their consultant.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to download that into our format that we have for our capital plan,
Right.
so everything matches.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was CC'd on that, and when it's all downloaded and formatted, we'll share it with everyone so we can all have it. Anyone else have any questions? Ben?
Through Carolyn. So I understand the surcharge is 1.5% for the CPC.
Yeah, if I could clarify, it's a 1.5% surtax. So in other words, it's not 1.5%, for example, of your property's value. It's 1.5% of the base tax that you would pay. So let's say if your tax was, if your tax per year was $10,000, then the CPC bill would be, doing the math quickly, 1.5% of that is, I believe, $1,500. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, 150, right. Thank you. Did the math too quickly.
Okay, how are those surtaxes determined? I mean, is it something through town meeting, or what mechanisms set those rates?
This is something that the town, back around 2008, voted for at the ballot.
Okay.
I believe there's certain funds are matched by the state as well.
Yes, that's
So-
true. One of the biggest advantages of being a CPA community is that the state pays CPA communities every year a certain share of funds that it collects through the Registry of Deeds. And if you're not a CPA town, if you don't have the CPA in your town, you lose out on that.
Okay, thank you.
Becca?
Just to make sure that I understand this correctly, the way that I think about the CPA and CPC funds is it's basically a forced savings account for us to spend on things that we really most likely would have more difficult time funding out of operating. So for example, I always use like the windows of Town Hall, because Town Hall is a historic building, or the Clap building. And so if we need to replace the windows, which are special, we could probably put it off for years and years and years, but hey, we have this money specifically that has to be spent on historical and or open spaces because it has very specific rules around it. And because we have this money, we can spend it and should spend it on things that we might otherwise push off because we don't have the operating for it. So would you say that's basically what it is? A good way to think about it?
Yeah, it's basically funding for things that the town, if it didn't have the fund, wouldn't get around to spending, or putting aside for spending. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else have any questions or comments on Article 22? All right, next is Article 23, which is a CPC article on the town records preservation, which is is an estimated cost of $20,000 to fund the preservation of town vital records.
I'm going to take that one. That's being led by the town clerk, Reggie, and she's on a well-deserved vacation, so I'm just filling in. This is the second phase of a project that has already been started. The first phase is already complete. What they do is they take the most decrepit-looking volumes of town vital records, which consists of births, deaths, and marriages. They go back to the 1700s. And what this company does is they come in and they take them page by page and preserve them page by page. You can imagine some of them are 200 years old, and they also scan them so that they can be put online so that people doing research or whatever reason can access those records. So this is the next batch of records. It's mostly from the 1800s, some 1900s. And again, they're concentrating on the records that need the work done most.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Dennis?
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering, once they're scanned in, is there a fee to search the records or to have them downloaded?
No, the downloading is something that I believe can be done internally, and on your end as a consumer, for example, it's available on free websites. So, yeah.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Any questions or comments from members of the audience? Okay, not seeing any. We will move on to the next article, which is Article 24. It's a CPC article regarding a project at Cedar Hill. And it's a cost of $250,000. And it's to do some renovation of green number 1 at the golf course, if I got that correctly. Thank you.
Good evening, Victor Baruzza, Cedar Hill Golf Course. We're looking to renovate the first green. The current green is 1,700 square feet. We're looking to go closer to 5,000 square feet, a significant jump. With the size of it now, the target is small. When golfers come up, they do a lot of back and forth. They call it military golf, left, right, left, right. Trying to get up on the green. It's undulated. It's like a turtleback. And when it goes up one side, it just rolls down the other side. Meanwhile, there's people waiting on the first tee box, waiting to go. We did over 25,000 rounds last year. We're a smaller course, so those kind of backups can cost us a lot of money if they're not getting along fast enough. So the goal is for a better target, a bigger target, to make them move faster, get off to the second hole, get the next group moving. It's a better look. They get excited about those kind of changes and playing. We're going to spread out the damage, foot traffic, ball traffic, cutting new cups for better pin placement. We'll be able to spread that damage out, so we'll have less chemical interventions, better for the environment. We try to be conscious anyway, but this is going to help with that. Better airflow. Again, less chemical intervention. Other than that, I'll leave it to you guys. Oh, I guess one thing I could add is that when Cedar Hill started becoming successful, it was all mostly in part due to the CPC. I mean, we got the restaurant, the CPC helped us. Everyone started doing outdoor activities. It was 2020. That year they did the $350,000 to turn the sixth hole into a par 5 from a par 4, to make it longer. We went up 110% in revenue that year, and we've grown every year since then. That year was $487,000. Last year we did $750,000, and we're trending to do the same thing if winter finally goes away. But all of that was due to the CPC and them supporting us and seeing that what we had was worth investing in. So thank you to them and the community for approving it, but I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you, members. Mark, then Don.
What's your timeline on redoing hole 1?
So want to look for the end of next year, the end of this year would be, like I said, if everything's approved, we would look at the end of September. And there's a couple things that we'd do before then in-house, but don't want to interrupt play or the leagues or anything like that. So I'm looking for a fall renovation with a spring opening.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And just as it's not going to stop play, what I would do is because we're just working on the green complex, we would do a temporary hole a little bit shorter, but still allow play, and then let the construction happen on the other side. That way, we're not losing any revenue there either.
Thank you, Don.
Is this in addition to the bunkers that I think the last time you came and spoke about? Or
This is, I'm sorry, I don't know which bunkers.
I thought the last time we talked about some kind of bunker renovations or doing the bunkers, or
A lot of that's being done in-house. But there would be new bunker complexes around the green, and all that would be incorporated in. So basically, anything that's surrounding the green and that immediate area would all be new. That would all be on this construction site.
Thank you.
Sure.
Joel?
Thank you. I need a clarification. I'm looking at the backup information. You have an estimate here for $337,900, but you're only asking for $250,000. So why is there a discrepancy?
$50,000 may come from a grant that we've applied for through Mass Golf. They're doing a new program called MuniLinks. MuniLinks is for municipal golf courses to try to keep up with the private golf courses. They've offered a program up to $50,000. I'm actually on the Member Services Committee for Mass Golf, and hoping that I have an extra chance to receive those funds. But even without those funds, with the $250,000, we'd be able to get the project done because half of that work is going to be done in-house. That's the estimate we're still doing most of that work in-house. There's only going to be a construction fee.
When you say in-house, what does that mean?
Me.
I give up.
Are you going to help?
I'm sorry, did you need more clarification on that?
No, he's going to volunteer.
$50,000 grant brings you up to $300,000, and you're saying that
Most of the irrigation work is going to be me. Most of the tree work is going to be me. New cart paths are going to be me. The new fence is going to be me. We're going to hire someone to come in with bulldozers and big equipment to shape the green. Laying the sod is going to be me. Laying the seed is going to be me. So the things that are in there, if you look through the detail of that sheet and you see $33,000 for sodding the outside perimeter, that's going to be me.
Okay. Thank you.
Could I add to that?
Sure.
Yeah, basically, just to expand on Victor's answer, what he's saying is that he didn't ask the Community Preservation Committee for the entire cost of the project. He's got, in addition to the money that he hopes to get from Mass Golf, he's also going to use his own resources. And I just want to say that under Victor's leadership, the facility has gone from something that required an annual operating subsidy from the town to one that actually is in the black. So.
That's why I brought him along. He said it a little better.
May I add?
Yes.
Municipal golf courses like this, 9-hole golf courses, is a very, very competitive market. The Abington Golf Course is a nice 9-hole golf course. I used to live in Abington, and it's a beautiful place. That's what he's competing against. Rockland has one, and many towns around here. So the fact that he's been able to draw and fill that parking lot and increase revenues, as he described earlier, is phenomenal. And this is a recreational facility. It's the only one that makes money in this town. So every time he's come to ask for some sort of funding, he's turned it into a new revenue stream, and I strongly recommend we continue to support Victor.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the committee? I will open it up to the audience. Anyone would like to ask any questions or speak on this article, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Okay. Thank you, Victor. Moving on to our next article, which is Article 25, CPC, is low-income housing. Oops. More precisely, for people to be aware, they're asking for $800,000 of $115,764 coming from the budgeted community housing reserve and $684,236 from the community housing fund balance to support the construction of 8 units of new low-income housing located along Drake Avenue and Memorial Drive on assessor's parcel. Well, we don't care about that. But we do care. People care. However, the assessor's parcel numbers mean nothing to me. Drake Ave and Memorial Drive do. So, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the members of the Finance Committee. My name is Colleen Doherty. I'm the Director of the Stoughton Housing Authority. And this construction will not be me. Victor's got me covered on that. So this will all go with contractors. He's impressive. My husband golfs there, and it's great.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Barry Crimmins. I'm the chairman of the Stoughton Housing Authority. We welcome the opportunity to come here tonight on this application. I previously served as the Housing Authority's representative to the CPC. A couple of years ago, Don Brady took my spot. The only thing I'd like to mention, when I served on the CPC, one of the things that I was constantly asked was, when are you going to be able to come forward with a housing project? And actually, this committee supported a housing project a year or so ago that's also on your agenda tonight, Hebrew Senior Life, which is right around the corner from us. For those of you who may not be as familiar as Carolyn is where the site is, it is the intersection of Drake Avenue when you come up past the Babe Ruth Field, if you're coming from School Street, or if you were coming in from Canton Street, it would be on the right-hand side. It will be part of our Veterans Project, although it will not be a Veterans development, but it will be on the site of the Veterans Project that has been there since the 1950s. The Drake Ave, Memorial Drive, and then Porter Terrace are the three streets that go in there. The proposal is to build 4 duplex units in that area. So we already have the property. The units will be prefab construction. They'll all be duplexes. They'll be more or less identical, which will help with the efficiencies of construction. But really what's important about this project, and I think what we're most excited about, and we hope you all will be excited about, is it is going to replace 7 what we refer to as scattered site units that we currently own that are leased as family housing. You've heard me mention that past Finance Committee meetings, town meeting, one of our struggles is with the length of time that applicants have to wait on the wait list, and that's for both senior housing as well as family housing. But the longer of the two wait lists is unfortunately the family housing. And this is going to help us by replacing 7 older units that are not, unfortunately, in the best of shape. They're difficult to maintain because of the age of these units. They're not the most efficient, certainly from a heating standpoint and the like. So we'll be able to replace these 7 scattered site units, which we will ultimately sell, and a portion of those proceeds will go towards the cost for this project, and replace that with 8 new units, brand new units that will be accessible, that will be efficient, that will be located on property that we already own and manage. So again, as Colleen mentioned, and I've got to give kudos to Colleen. Many of you don't know her because she likes to fly under the radar, as they say. We were very fortunate to get Colleen to come on board as the director of the Stoughton Housing Authority under a management agreement. We share her with the Taunton Housing Authority and with a couple other housing authorities. And at the time, she came very highly recommended by those within the public housing industry. And she has done nothing but exceed our expectations beyond our wildest dreams. I've been on the Housing Authority for many years, and she has just steered that ship in ways that most folks just wouldn't understand, but would certainly appreciate. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. We appreciate your support of this article. We appreciate the CPC's support of this article, and we're looking forward to this project getting off the ground in the very near future. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up to members of the committee for questions. I have Becca, Dawn, and then Heidi. And then Jonna. And Mark's writing them all down for me.
Hi. Hi, thank you. I'm just trying to visualize where this is. So you said Drake Ave and Canton Street?
If you come in from Canton onto Drake Ave.
Turn right on Drake.
It'll, yeah, if you're coming
Well,
from that.
Well, yeah.
Right.
There's a building right there on the right.
Right, there's a large industrial.
Yes. And then you have the ice
If you
center
go-
on.
Right, so if you go by there, A lot of people, those small, single-family ranch, I apologize. Those small, single-family ranch-style homes
Okay.
are part of our Veterans Project. And off of Drake Ave is Memorial Drive, and then there's a small cul-de-sac to the left off of Memorial Drive,
Yes.
which is Porter Terrace.
Okay.
So they'll be located primarily facing Drake Avenue, with access from both Drake and from Porter Terrace.
I've driven by that all the time.
Yeah.
It's just, I just thought
Yeah.
their houses.
So we're just coming in from Canton Street, we're just before the Babe Ruth field on the right-hand side.
Are you renovating? Like, I guess my question is, these are being renovated.
This will be new construction.
So what's going to happen to these? Are you,
What's the these that you're
The
referring
houses
to?
that are
the
there, I
houses
think,
that are
are
already there
staying.
are staying?
Those houses will stay, and we'll
Okay.
be building behind those.
Oh, okay.
So the spirit of the grant is to build on property that the Housing Authority owns in order to streamline the process. So we will be moving the people who are living in those scattered sites now into this new housing once it's built.
Okay.
So the other houses will remain at the site. It's being fit into the existing
Oh, great.
neighborhood.
All right, thank you.
Dawn?
On the new houses that you're building, it's going to be a 2-bedroom, more for family, or a 3-bedroom. And if we're going to put the other people into the new houses, are we going to renovate the old houses that they were once living in?
Sorry, it's green, I should know. No, we will be selling those properties, so we may renovate. If we renovate, it's going to be renovating to sell.
To sell.
Because we will not be keeping those. Those will go to the open market.
Okay.
And help fund the new development.
Thank you. Heidi?
Just to kind of piggyback on with what Becca was saying, because I too was having a hard time visualizing where this all was. You said we own that property, but when I go into the GIS map, it doesn't look like it's owned by the town.
It's owned by the Stoughton Housing Authority.
Oh, the Stoughton Housing
Correct.
Authority.
Sorry.
Okay, got you. Thank you. And then all my other questions were already answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Ben?
Is there a state mandated requirement for how much affordable housing and percentage-wise that we need to have in this town?
Every town has a percent that they have to meet. I believe it's 10%. And this is adding one additional unit, but it's actually replacing existing units that are probably already in your count, if that makes sense. So we're selling 7 units that we own that are scattered throughout the town. We are rebuilding out 8. So there'll be 7 replacement units and 1 additional unit.
Okay, what are we currently at in terms of inventory?
You may, through you, Madam Chairman, you may be referring, it sounds like, to the state subsidized housing inventory, where a community has to have 10% affordable housing. Is that?
Yes.
Where you're, so all of our units are counted on the town's subsidized housing inventory. And I think the last time I looked, and Mr. Tisdale may know if he's still here. I think we're around up there.
It's just over 11%.
11,
right?
yeah.
Okay, do you have any specific policy for what the target should be?
That's not really within our jurisdiction. I mean, all of our units that the Stoughton Housing Authority owns, which are independent from the town of Stoughton, but count towards the town's affordable housing and subsidized housing inventory.
Okay, thank you.
Not all of the units that count towards that are owned or controlled by the Stoughton Housing Authority.
Correct.
Jonna?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of, excuse me, a couple of questions. Why are they called veterans if they're not for veterans? I'm confused by that.
The Veterans Housing Development always has, as will these units, they are preferenced for veterans. So any veteran who applies receives a preference in our housing. So you don't have to be a veteran, But if you are a veteran, it helps you on the wait list.
Thank you for that. And who else is going to be encompassed in the ability to get this housing? I know low income, but anyone with low income, any age group, any?
This age group, because there'll be 2 and 3 bedrooms in their replacement housing, we have to offer the housing first to the people who are currently living in the housing that we're going to replace. But we're obviously doing 8, not just 7, so those will go to our regular wait list. Our wait lists are years long, so it will go to the next eligible person on the wait list that fits that bedroom size, most likely family with that bedroom size.
Thank you again for that. And one last question. Are any of the people that were, any of the illegals that were living in the hotels, are they going to be allowed to be on this?
All right, please.
Please what? I'm in the middle of asking a question and you're
Could you
gaveling
use
me.
a different term? We've been through this before. You're representing a community. We represent all of the residents of the town of Stoughton. And I am running this meeting, and I have asked that term not be used. So if you could refer to the people that you're asking about as migrants or some other term than the one you're using, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
And I would appreciate being able, as I stated last night in my comments that I made, that I have a right to use that word, and it's not a word that shouldn't be used.
To be honest, you don't necessarily have the right to use that. People have First Amendment rights to come to a public hearing from the members of the public, and they can make whatever comments they want, and we would not respond, and then they could go on. You are here as a member of this committee, right? You do not need to use that term. I have asked you out of courtesy that you don't use it, because to be honest, generally when any society that has grouped groups of people as categories like illegal or slave, no matter whatever the statutes written that were written 50 years ago would use, never come out on the good side of history. So if, as a member of this committee, if you could do us the courtesy of using another term, we would appreciate it.
And I would appreciate being able to utilize the word because it is proper terminology. That's what, excuse me, I have the floor, not you. Thank you. No, I'm not.
As you may not understand, if we went by everything that was written in the law, if you look at the Constitution, slaves were considered 3/5 of a person for population counts. We've asked you, if you would like, I can bring it to a vote, and we could ask if the committee would like that word to be used or not to be used. But, this is not something that we should have to be debating.
That's right, we shouldn't. I should be able to just use it and it should be accepted.
No. We're going to, all right, if you could use another word, or I'm just going to rule the question out of order, I'm going to move on to the next person.
Then I guess I'm out of order.
Thank you. Next person, Lauren.
Just curious, the houses that are going to be redone or rebuilt there, what type of homes will it be?
At this time, and we're still in schematic design, but we're looking to use a modular home and most likely duplexes.
Okay.
Because they fit pretty good in that neighborhood at this time.
Great, thank you.
Dawn?
This might be a really dumb question, but will the new buildings be equipped with like washing machine and dryers for the individuals living there, and refrigerators? That's an expense.
Sorry. Yes, we do always supply the refrigerators to everyone within the housing, and we do put washer and dryer hookups within those units. Okay. But we don't supply the washer and dryer machine, just the hookup.
Dennis, Ben, did you have a question too? So Dennis, then Ben, and then Joel?
Yes, thank you. Are the 7 units that you're retiring or selling, is that necessary to sell prior to building the 8, or can we keep those 7 and then?
So one thing that we've worked out with the state is that we don't want to relocate because it's not easy for those 7 households to find housing within school district, within Stoughton, as it is now. So we will not displace until the new units are ready, and then we will sell. Did that answer that?
It does. Can we keep the 7 units to get more people off of the years-long wait that you said?
So by this grant, financially, we need the proceeds from the sale of those homes to go towards the new building.
Thank you.
Through you, Speaker. What's the process look like for reviewing eligibility for individuals in this program? Do you review their needs and see if they can be brought into market rate housing, or what's that process look like?
So the state housing process now has and has for the last few years, a singular wait list. That wait list is called the CHAMP system. So everyone who needs this housing in Massachusetts can now fill out one application, pick multiple housing authorities. And then what happens is they come up to the list based on their priority and preference. So you heard me say veterans preference. That bumps people on a wait list because they're given that preference. And they're also given priority if they are homeless through no fault of their own, have a type of medical emergency. So there are a few emergency categories that will, pull that list for us ahead of time in that way. So when we have a vacancy, we pull that list. We start with the number 1 emergencies and then go down. When we decide if they are eligible, we look at their income, we look at their household composition. If we decide if they're qualified, we look at their previous landlord history, we look at their criminal record, and we look to see if they have had any previous evictions in courts and specifically with other housing authorities. Once they come into our housing, we do a lot around family self-sufficiency. So once they come in, we have what's called a CSS team that is available to residents to assist them in getting job placement, career training, everything that you might think of that can wrap around that family or that individual to bring them towards a greater self-sufficiency. So that's, of course, more what we're looking for in family housing. When we look to elderly, non-elderly disabled housing, our goal is to keep people within that housing unit as long as we can, healthy, safe, and independent, so that we delay their time and hopefully no time in a nursing home. So the goals of the 2 programs are different depending on who's living there, but we are very geared towards self-sufficiency and providing those services.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes, sorry. They do have to meet the income guidelines. We go by the low-income guidelines that are published by HUD every year for this area. So for instance, right now, a 2-bedroom household would be capped at about $80,000.
Thank you. Joel? Then Lauren?
Yeah, just a couple of clarifications, please. In your original grant or your application to the CPA, you asked for a little over $1 million. And then I see a letter that you wrote saying that you can do it for $800,000. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. But this was done in September and October of last year. And as a member of the Elementary School Building Committee, we're having some very serious concerns about where this is going. So I guess my question is, what happens if the project starts to come in over budget? Who makes up the shortfall?
So those are some discussions that we're having with the state. We've even talked about a possible bridge loan. Should we have some difficulty with funding? At this time, as I said, we're still in schematic design, so we're looking at every possibility to reduce costs and keep costs low. We knew that in 2023, when we put the grant in, that we were going to see about a $200 and some odd thousand gap. Once that grant was submitted and approved, working with the architects, we realized that we could fit another unit pretty easily, and that would give us 8. That then drove the cost of that 8th unit. So what we tried to come up with is a reasonable figure for the cost of what that gap might have been in the 8th unit. What we're hoping for is that we know that some of the original numbers were back in 2023. We kind of raised those to 2025 possibility levels. We're now in 2026. And we're also hoping, though, that because some of this is funded by real estate, we're hoping that the real estate market also, comes up. So there are some pieces to the puzzle. There is, the state has just a few of these grants. These are pilot grants that they have not done before. So we're only one of 3 across the state. And I think everyone's very vested in making sure that these grants come to fruition and that these projects work. So, we're also relying a little bit on the state to continue to support as their original grant amount is also outdated.
So the grant as it stands, in schools, for example, the Massachusetts School Building Authority gives you a grant and they reimburse you for invoices of work that you've already done. I'm not sure how the grant works here.
It would be, the state would put the money, so the state had originally put in just under 2.5 into this project. They will reimburse ahead of time. Sorry, it's not a reimbursement. We can pull that money down and pay bills with that amount of money.
Okay, so assuming the worst, that there's going to be a crunch in terms of, is one of the potential solutions of going from 8 units to 7 units, or you have to stay with the 8 units?
It is a solution. We're going to work really hard not to have that happen. But
Well,
yes,
I know that,
of course.
but, yeah.
I understand what you're saying. And there are solutions here if we get to that point.
Okay.
There are always the solutions.
I'm just wondering if we're going to see you again next year or the year after saying, oh, yeah, we need a...
I'd love to not make that happen.
But if, through you, Madam Chairman, to the previous speaker, as Colleen said, hopefully that's not the case. We certainly appreciate the sentiment of the question, and there is obviously a lot of uncertainty. That said, should all of those things come to pass, what we would have to do is pursue any and all financial resources, just as we did in putting the original package together. So, it's a combination of state resources, municipal resources. So we would look at all of those things. I think the last thing that we would want to do is have to reduce the number of units, however.
I understand. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Lauren, then Arnie.
Hi, sorry to bring this up again. I just wanted to clarify because I'm trying. So you're coming from Canton Street, and then those. How I know because I.
Do you? I'm sorry,
The
Lauren.
little, the little.
Does have this, Carolyn?
Yeah, no, I just no. My question doesn't. It's
okay,
because
sorry.
I grew up on Canton Street.
Yeah.
So you're coming in off of Canton Street, and you have those little houses there, right?
Yep.
So, I'm not talking about the houses that you're going to build on. What is it, Porter Terrace?
It's actually mostly on Drake Ave.
Okay, so are you replacing those houses?
We're not. Those
like
houses-
knocking them down and rebuilding them?
No, those houses will
Okay,
remain. So
okay.
those kind of smaller white houses that line that street will
Yeah.
remain. What we're looking to do is to bring a shared driveway in between those houses and build out the back.
More or less behind.
So kind of in their
those-
backyards.
Behind the
Okay.
existing homes.
Okay.
Because their
okay.
backyards, there's some space, and then they start to abut the other houses within that development. So there's space, there's quite a bit of space in between there.
So last question, I promise. So the people that are currently in those homes, are they going to be moving to the duplexes?
In the white homes and the ones that
No,
line
the
that.
scattered sites.
No, the ones that are living in the scattered sites that we're going to sell, yes, they will be able to move into those homes once they're
Okay.
built.
Okay, thank you.
Arnie, then Dawn.
Hi. I assume that you will be getting rent from the people that are there, and the maximum income is $80,000. Is the rent expected to pay for maintenance and whatever expenses there are with the housing throughout its life?
So these are subsidized housing units through the Department of Housing and Livable Communities. What happens is that a resident pays 30% of their income towards rent. So rent is income-based, so each individual household can end up paying a different amount of rent based on their income, and then the state will then subsidize our operating expenses from that. So if they pay, if the state's going to give us, for example, $700 for that unit, the tenant, based on 30% of their income, is paying $500, the state is going to give us the $200 to make up the difference in that rent. And then that is the funding that we use, the rent combined with the subsidy from the state, that gives us our operating fund.
Say you've got a homeless veteran that has a family and he has no money. Will the state make up the whole thing for him?
Yes, they actually will. We do have people who can come in, at times experience zero income is what we call it. So we can have people that have that type of a challenge, and they can end up with a zero rent. If we have somebody that is in that situation, we work particularly hard with that household to make sure that, one, if they're a veteran, for example, they are making sure that they have access to everything that they're eligible for. If that is not the case, then we are assisting them to find income through work, through whatever that household has the ability to do. So that would be our road to family self-sufficiency. Seeing zero income is very rare, and when we do see it, it's very short term, but it is allowed.
Madam Chairman, if I may through you, we have annual recertifications as well, so it's not a qualify once and be able to stay forever. You hit the lottery, you're no longer eligible. So it's a combination of two things. The initial thing is you have to be under a certain income to qualify, as Colleen mentioned, and then your rent is based on whatever that income is. But every year we go through a recertification process to make sure our residents are still eligible. The other thing in terms of the cost is, unlike somebody who may own their own home, these are rental units, as we mentioned. So we, as the landlords, if you will, are responsible for the maintenance of the units.
Is that covered by the state also?
The maintenance is covered through our operating budget, and there's times when we go through the state budget process, and there's times when we're funded higher than others. So there's times when our operating will go up and down. What attracted us to this grant is that it is very difficult on a operating maintenance level for a housing authority to own and take care of single-family homes scattered throughout a community. And that was what this program, which is called the 705 program. So what attracted us to this is to be able to rebuild those new on property that we own, and that will preserve them for decades to come. And that is that's a goal of ours, so that if we can preserve that, and for the next 10 years know that maintenance is going to be a lot less on those buildings, it's a win for us all the way around.
One last question. Does Stoughton municipal funds support the Stoughton housing facility?
They do not. The Stoughton Housing Authority budget is separate from the town's municipal funds. So housing authorities directly get their funding through both the federal and state government, is actually the case for Stoughton. And we are special municipalities ourselves, housing authorities are, and our local boards are what keep us local in those towns. But we are not funded by the towns.
Thank you very much.
Dawn? Is there an inspection on these buildings as a previous broker had brought up the fact that we have paid for maintenance and you come back every year. Is there an inspection that goes and to make sure that since it's a new building, the upkeep and maintenance is kept up, and if they do something egregious, maybe do they pay for that themselves?
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
let me answer in two parts. So one is that the Housing Authority's operating budget covers things like regular day-to-day maintenance. We also have what's called a capital budget, And that capital budget will be a 5-year plan, 10-year plan that goes into a major system that tracks the age of our systems, what we've done. If we've replaced a heating system, it's in that capital budget so that we can track our capital expenses. We do inspections every single year, once a year at least, in our units. And if we have a concern about how that unit is being cared for, like any other landlord, we will, we can charge for the cost of repair. We do have the ability to do that. And it's also a lease violation. So we will also begin a conference process with that resident.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do we have any? Lauren, did you have a question? All right. Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to answer this, but somebody, I think in the audience named Mark might be able to answer it. The sewer and water on Drake, is that able to handle 8 new units, 8 family units, I should say? Will it be able to handle that, or do we have to beef up any of those lines or anything like that?
Yeah, our engineering department has already reviewed that plan, and water and sewer capacity is not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more questions from anybody on the committee? Okay, Joel?
Actually, I just have a comment. I've taken a look through your backup stuff, and I have to say, it appears that there might be some weaknesses. I took a look at, for example, at the construction estimate. It appears that is for 7 units and not 8 units. Okay, so I can see that. I see the notes from the architect who basically said, we haven't really accounted for any site utilities coming into the project, anything like that. So to me, there's a lot of iffy stuff going around, and the amount of monies that you're carrying in the construction estimate for contingencies is real low from a practical point of view. So just a comment. I mean, if you guys are okay with it, fine, but it would bother me.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're not fully baked yet, but we're close. Closer than we were when this was done. So we are in end schematic design.
Thank you. Any other questions from anyone on the committee? Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? Go ahead, Natasha.
Natasha Gomes, Precinct 2. I'd like to start by saying thank you to Madam Chair for allowing this to be a meeting where all community members are welcomed. My question, though, is regarding the sale of the unit. We are currently in an election process, and we hear a lot of conversation regarding affordable home purchasing. Does the units that are going up for sale or planned sale, do they have to go to the highest bidder, or can we mimic something like the City of Boston is doing, where you can't resell at a higher price so that we can get lower income people into home ownership, not necessarily people that need rental assistance, but people that can't afford an $800,000 home?
I can't say that that is something that we did look at and would love to do, but it doesn't give us what we need to rebuild. If we weren't rebuilding, I think we could probably look at that. Right now, as the way that the grant stands and the funding with the state was that the houses would go to regular market. So there is no provisions in there or funding in there to have those properties remain or sell at anything other than the private market rate, unfortunately.
If I could just add to that through you, Madam Chair. The homes that we will be selling, however, those proceeds are allowing us to build new housing, which will be affordable housing. So it's sort of a one-to-one in that sense. I appreciate the sentiment. We'd love to add more affordable housing to the stock in the town if we could. But in order to build the units we're looking to build, we need to be able to sell those existing units at market rate.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, though. Would have loved to try to make that work. I will say that the homes are not, they're certainly not million-dollar homes. So, hopefully they hit that need market of maybe still first-time home buyers or smaller families that might be looking for a starter home.
Thank you. Who's next on our list? Oh, I'll put up.
So as previously stated, you said there was 11% low-income housing. What does that represent in terms of actual houses in Stoughton, that 11%? Is there a number of houses that you have in terms of?
I don't know that figure off the top of my head.
There's, I forget which department in the town, through you, Madam Chairman, maintains that inventory, but there is an actual subsidized housing inventory that is maintained by the town. So that could be from a 40B development, that could be from presidential courts down across from the high school. And here's a gentleman that could answer the question more directly.
I don't have the exact answer of the number of units, but the planning department has a spreadsheet with all those calculated out. We can get that for you if you like.
Could you
Yep.
get that and send this to us?
Thank you.
I just bring that up because in terms from an economic standpoint, taking all these houses off the market and making them unavailable to first-time buyers, really it puts upward pressure on housing prices. So I think in some way it's almost counterproductive.
Through you, Madam Chair. Obviously, we could have a policy debate, but I think, as I mentioned, the sale of the existing homes, as Colleen mentioned, first of all, they basically would all be considered starter homes, or affordable with a small a, not necessarily deed restricted affordable, but affordable relatively speaking in the marketplace. But once again, what we're building, as with all of our units, are affordable units because of the income guidelines that residents have to meet.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from members of the audience on this article? All right, not seeing any. Thank you all very much for that very informative presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. Carolyn, did you say your members do have this? Because if not, we'll get you copies.
We have it on the backup material.
Okay.
That's online. If there's anybody that would like a hard copy, if you could get some and drop them off here, we can hand them out next week.
Yeah.
So-
we could get you, and there are maps in the back.
If
For you
anyone would like.
townies that don't know where Drake Ave is.
Yeah, I walk by that. I walk home from school by that way all the time. Cut over the train tracks. So if anyone, you got some copies now. So if you would like, raise your hand. They can hand some off. Behind Arnie too and Dawn. Should make Barry do it. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is Article 27, CPC restoration of the antique Hunneman pumper truck. And the article here. I got it. We are looking for the cost of $150,000 coming from the Historic Resources Fund balance to fund the restoration of antique hand pumper truck from the 1850s, which was originally used by the town when purchased new. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A little funny sitting on this side looking out. But thank you for the opportunity to present this article, and I thank Barry and the members of the CPC for recognizing this project. Most of you will probably be aware of the project we had that CPC and the Finance Committee voted to support then, the 1928 Maxim pumper that we have. And that program has grown and to be an ambassador of Stoughton, which is definitely needed sometimes when we're being Stoughton. It has been all over the state. It's been into New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and you saw in some of the information I handed out, it was recognized by Jay Leno at the Concours d'Elegance in Newport, Rhode Island. So it was a real nice showing for Stoughton. We came across, after we knew it was out there somewhere, the Honeyman hand tub was actually, it was bought just after the formation of the Stoughton Fire Department in 1849, and it was purchased in 1853. It served East Stoughton, which is now the town of Avon, and it served there until when Avon in 1881 became the town of Avon. They got rid of it, and then it went into oblivious. We don't know where it went, but it showed up in the town of Acton, Massachusetts. So back in 2023, we were able to with private funds, have that thing purchased, and it's been back in Stoughton since 2023. It's in poor shape, but we are not looking, this restoration will be a little different than the one that was done on Engine 2. It's going to be what they call a patina restoration. So it'll look older, it won't look like it just rolled off the assembly line, but it'll look aged and look used. And that's where it allowed us to be significantly less in the cost on it. Again, it's an extension of what we've done in marking history of Stoughton and the people that made the town of Stoughton what it was. In these days, these were people that were working farms and mills and, shops in downtown. And when a fire took out, the residents came together. They ran their horses up to the fire station. They got this and they pulled it either with a horse or by manpower. At the time, no disrespect to the ladies, but they weren't pulling the hand tubs at those days. But again, that was when Stoughton was 127 years old. It was before the Civil War. And we're marking another piece of history of showing people that Stoughton cares about the generations that made us who we are now. And by doing that, we recognized to this day firefighters who put their lives on the line every day when you look at the difference in the equipment. The Historical Society overall has grown. We've done some programs where some people that are around in 2008, we had a program where we had the United States flag truck come to town. That program that was at the time carried on it 3 Mount Rushmore flags that we used to cover the president's faces on Mount Rushmore at its rededication. So we had 2 of those flags that were unfurled by over 200 residents that rolled them out, standing arm to arm. And in that program, believe me, there were people that I knew and some other elected officials would know that didn't like each other, particularly, but they were standing elbow to elbow holding that flag. So it was a great event. We were lucky enough, through, again, private fundraising, to be able to buy that flag truck. And that's another addition that we just added to this past November to the operation of the Historical Society. So that vehicle will transport both Engine 2, because it's a ramp truck, so the Engine 2 goes right up on the back of the body, and we'll be in the process of putting a trailer hitch on that with an enclosed trailer that the hand tub will go out, so that we'll be displaying both of those pieces of history at different locations. So again, it's just the timing that when Stoughton was 127 years old, that truck was, that hand tub was out there. There's 75 years difference of firefighting history and people and communities, 75 years in difference of age. And it's just one more thing that, that we do to recognize our heritage, recognize the people that made Stoughton what it is today. So if I can answer any questions, I'd be more than glad to do so.
Thank you. Open it up to members of the committee. Questions? Ben, then Becca. Oh, Barry?
I just want to add one more thing. That one of the things that impressed us about this project on the committee was that we saw the work that Joe did with the 1928 pumper truck and how Joe has turned that into a much needed ambassador for the town and has taken it, as he said, all over the state and all over other states and has won a number of awards also. So,
Thank you. All right, Ben, then Becca, then we'll go who's next after that.
Through you, Madam Chair. Where's this piece of equipment going to be stored full-time?
Right now, the Honeyman hand tub is at Station 1 on Prospect Street. There's plenty of room up there. Engine 2 has been in an Avon museum, but with the renovation of the Freeman Street headquarters, there was a bay that was added, just a small display bay. The Engine 2 will be housed there. So for this time now, until we think of other things and thinking down the road, I've already talked with somebody that might be able to donate a building that would allow us to have a central location for all of it. But I don't really know how that'll happen. We're talking about the possibility, which the hand tubs seem to do in some of the newer fire stations, is they build an enclosed glass presentation case, if you will, that would be attached to the building, very thick glass. So you're not going to take it out with rocks or whatever, and the doors would open up into the bay. So it would be a display piece there at the fire station. So that's still in conversation as to what we can do.
Okay. Do you have any idea how long it'll be available to the public in terms of percentage a year or how often?
Oh, believe me, there's a lot of people that are stepping up since Engine 2 was out there, and I'm putting that, now that we have a transport vehicle for this, there's some people that'll be involved, and I think everybody, I hope you've all had the opportunity to see the fire truck at one time or another in the parade or whatever, is we want it out there. We don't want to sit it in a museum. We want it out there. In 2023, during COVID, Engine 2 was driving neighborhoods. Kids were ringing the bells. They were getting pictures. It was something that kept families doing something together, despite COVID. The Engine 2 program, which we're going to do the same for the Honeyman hand tub, is it goes all over, and we are recognizing our line of duty deaths. Edward Kelleher from 1966, Victor Melendi from 1995, and Fred Little from 2022. They ring the bell. We have a card that's made with a picture. It'll be the hand tub on one card. It'll be Engine 2 on the other card. When you turn it around, it will have the last call cards of our lost firefighters. And the kids ring the bell 3 times in memory of our fallen firefighters. We'll be expanding this a little bit. I've talked with the National Law Enforcement Foundation as well as the Fallen Firefighters Foundation in Washington, D.C. And I had, unfortunately, a time where 3 years in a row, I found somebody very near family and a couple other people, found them dead in their homes. And I'm very close to the fire, very close to the police during my roles as a select board member. And it was the first time that I really thought to myself, when we say thank you to somebody in the military, police and fire, thank you for your service, why are we thanking them? For putting on the badge and doing the job? There's more to it. It's things that they will see and never unsee. And live with that, take that home, be the loving father, the loving son, wife, and have to do that job with what they see. So this program is bigger than the town of Stoughton. We're recognizing people all over the country for what they do through these pieces of equipment. The National Flag Truck is one that took on a bigger thing, and it's veterans. It's people who have served and given the supreme sacrifice for our country. So with these things, we're really representing, and the Historical Society has played, we're one of the best known at this point, just with what we have with Engine 2. Getting these other things is just going to take it to another level. So again, we're representing people who, to remember those and say thank you, and through these beautiful pieces of equipment, and it's only possible with your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Becca? Dawn?
My question was asked, so I'm all set.
Thank you.
The question is, on the flag truck, Ram truck, would we need somebody special to drive it, or?
No, it's a non-CDL vehicle. It doesn't have, it's not bound by any federal regulations because it's not used in interstate commerce. It has to be commerce before that would all kick in.
Thank you.
Okay?
Jonna?
Through you, does anyone else ride the truck beside you?
No, well, there will be a passenger here and there, but I'm the only one that's doing it right now.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, are you going to have a museum in the new fire station for the
Yes,
truck?
Engine 2 in the new headquarters of the fire station, there's a small bay there. It's basically just a garage bay. It's not a full-fledged museum. It's very small, and that the town was good enough to make that available. There won't be any public funds going into that. Everything is money that I'm raising personally, or items that we have in the Historical Society at this time. They don't get to be seen. They're in downstairs in the archives of the Historical Society. They belong being seen. So this will allow people from all over the town, other towns, to come in and learn more about fire history through the pieces of equipment that we're preserving.
Thank you.
Arnie?
Hi, this is just a curiosity thing. Is on the fire truck, was it the
28?
28? Is that driven all the way up to New Hampshire? Or
No, that's what Arnie thinks. It was the reason we went out and looked for a ramp truck. I've been very lucky to have two people in Stoughton. John Doyle from Sherns Automotive, who lets me use his ramp truck whenever I need to go. And I offered to pay the fuel. He got mad at me, and he said this was his part, to be able to make sure that truck goes out. So, yeah, we've been able to go far with it, but now we have our own truck that's owned by the Historical Society. We have all the proper insurance. We have acquired national, I'd be more than glad to share with you at any time anybody wants to ask, national companies. There's a company that makes the outer shells for all the nuclear submarines, who is a sponsor of this program right now. I mean, I've been so just humbled and to know that the people that are out there that want to support things like this, and they're making donations to the Historical Society for it.
Will the pumper truck just be a museum piece, or will that be rolled around in the...
Arnie, if you want to see it at your house, you call me and it will take a ride down to it.
No, I don't want you to do that.
No, well, no.
No, what I meant was, I was just curious as to the extent of the restoration. Will it be able to be wheeled in parades and things like that?
The fire truck has been all over the place. I drive it periodically over to the town of Foxborough at the Gillette Stadium. They have car shows there. We were over at Endicott Estates for a car show last year.
I think Arnie's talking about the current one, the one that's in the subject of this article.
Yes, the
No,
pumper.
this one will go out, but it'll go out in trailer because it's not powered.
Yes.
And it's very heavy. So we would have that on a trailer. The trailer can go on the back of our ramp truck or on the back of my Ford Explorer. So yes, that's going to get out there.
Not going to get horses to pull it?
Hey, you want to fund that? I'll take a shot at it.
Thank you very much. I was just curious.
What, a Clydesdale? Yeah, sure, yeah.
We'll just make the select board pull it.
Hey, I'll sit on top and steer it. I'd love to, does it come with a whip? Yeah.
Okay. Anyone on the committee have questions? Any other questions? I will open it up to members of the audience. Anyone have any questions on comments on this article? And the amount again is $150,000, right?
Yes, and if I may, just for clarification as well, because it was asked at the CPC hearing on, and you folks have asked earlier on the appraisals, or the estimates on what it would cost. We got a high, a low, and a medium, and the high person just dropped out, and that he is not doing them anymore. So we'll have, I believe, we'll be well within budget.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, and if anybody wants to call, see anything, you want to see the tub or whatever, feel free to reach out. Thank you. Barry, thank you as well.
Thank you, Joe. Good job.
Okay, we already did Article 28, so we are moving on to Article 29, the CPC Hebrew Senior Life Supplemental Funding. Sorry, I know I shut the mic off by accident. I apologize. It's proposing to have $500,000 total of $19,207 coming from the undesignated fund of the CPC, and then $480,793 from the FY 2027 budgeted annual reserve to support the construction of an all-affordable senior housing complex on the corner of Canton and Canton and Simpson Streets. So, if you could introduce yourselves and explain what this is for, we would appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm Deb Morse, and I'm joined by my colleague Kim Brooks from Hebrew Senior Life. Thank you for having us tonight. I also want to just thank the Community Preservation Committee, the Planning Department, the Engineering Department from the town of Stoughton, who have been extraordinarily helpful in assisting us to move this project towards construction. We continue to be grateful for the town's support of our 96-unit all-affordable senior housing community. And a lot has happened since we last presented to you. Most notably, we've received state funding to move this project along. We've submitted the final site plan to the town's planning department and engineering department for their review and comments. We've received the order of conditions from the Conservation Commission, and we're poised to begin construction at the end of June or the beginning of July. We're here tonight to discuss with you our request for an additional $500,000 of CPC funds. This request will essentially serve as what we're calling a macroeconomic reserve to safeguard the project against market volatility. If we don't need the funds, which we will know before we begin construction at the end of June or July, we will withdraw our request. Between February 2025 and now, there have been two significant disruptions to our development budget. The first is that the permanent loan has decreased by a little more than $1 million due to more conservative underwriting and a lower rent standard that the state will pay. The second disruption is that construction costs have increased by more than $1 million, mostly because of a new Buy America, Build America regulation that requires all construction materials to be manufactured in the United States. We have a slide in the PowerPoint presentation that provides details on this. To potentially offset these increases, we applied for and received a very significant energy grant from the state. We've engaged in a rigorous value engineering process to reduce the construction costs, and we continue to defer a significant part of our fee. So that's where we are in the project, and looking forward to answering any questions you might have.
Thank you. Jonna?
Through you, Madam Chair. I wanted to ask, because last year when you were trying to get approval for this, there was a lot of dissent in the community about the fact that this was being built on toxic land. Have you done any more testing like you said you were going to do, and where are those results to be seen?
The town planning department has all of our environmental reports, which have been thorough. There are no reportable environmental conditions have been found anywhere on this site.
With all due respect, you said that last year too, and when I read that 1,000-page report, you didn't even test water, soil, or air. So what are you banking that on? I mean, I don't understand how you can say that.
You know, we had a licensed environmental specialist do the phase 1 report, and her findings were that there were no reportable environmental conditions. So that's what we're relying on. When we start the site work, We will start pulling up some of the soil, and that will be tested. But to date, all of our environmental testing is coming back as the site is clean, with no reportable environmental conditions.
So I just want to follow up with that. From when did this new testing start that you claimed you were going to do? Or are you relying on that old testing from that original report?
No, we just actually updated the report about 2 weeks ago.
Could you get us a copy of that
course.
report, please?
Yes, of course.
Just one more follow-up. You're going to dig up the soil and then test it? Wouldn't it be more appropriate to test the land before you start building?
It's just the standard sort of order of operations of the construction project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to see that report as well as how you've done for testing. Arnie, then Joel, did you want to speak? Sure? All right. Feel free. Arnie, Joel, Ben, then we'll go, because I won't remember any more names after that right now.
Thank you for coming. I'd like to just expand the discussion based on John's comments. Is I believe what I heard was where you were building it was safe, but in the wetland, it had environmental problems. And as I remember, some of the chemicals or stuff were going through town, through your wetlands, into other neighborhoods. And that's what I remember hearing from I believe it was last year.
So we're not building on any wetlands.
That wasn't my question. There is an environmental problem in the wetlands, but the spot you are building on, there is not.
I'm not aware of any environmental problems in the wetlands. I don't know.
If I could, this project was approved by the Conservation Commission.
Oh, I think what Arnie is saying is there's a history of that property that was in the middle of a flow of hazardous toxic waste from factories up, and it flowed down. I understand, and I think this is what you're saying, Arnie, that the site where you're actually planning to build the building was not contaminated. However, parts of that property, like in the wetlands, is what you're saying, did have a history of contamination. And that's what you're saying, right?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And I mean, I also remember this was a big issue in town like 20 years ago when this was all discovered. That's one of the reasons why that property has been vacant for so long. So that's what he's talking about, that part of the property that, was contaminated. What's the status of that?
What do you mean the status of it?
Well, the environmental person that did the analysis says there's no worries there. But evidently, in the past, and as far as I understood, when we were talking about the project last year, it was still available, and they were going to test on it and see how they had to clean it up.
I mean, we can re-review the reports that just came out 2 weeks ago, but everything in the report says that there are no reportable environmental conditions, and that's what we're relying on.
I don't know how to answer that because
I would say we'll get a copy of that report and then look at it
closely with all the town. I mean, we've been.
the second.
Okay.
I think, we understand, and, I don't expect that either of you are environmental engineers or, and you're relying on what people told you, but this is a concern that a lot of people have had, and we may not fully understand how everything flows or where it goes either, but we would like to before we, vote on this. These were questions that came up at town meeting. I remember when the project came up, and I mean, we knew, at least I knew then, that there would be a 21, what's this?
21E.
21E done, and has that been done?
That is this phase 1 report that we will get
Thank
to you. Yeah.
So I think, we may have other questions, but I think that's what, and this will come up at town meeting again, because this was the whole issue of the toxic waste in that whole area was a very big issue for the town 20 years ago, and there's still people that are quite aware of it on the town meeting floor. So, you will, this is not the only place that you will be asked those questions.
Okay.
That's my sentiment exactly. My other question is, last year I remember we put a large sum of money into the Hebrew Senior Center, and now you're asking for more. How does this square up with a historical need for that particular money? You're coming from the CPC, or conservation money. What was the amount last year? Was it like over $1 million?
So I don't remember the amount of the original article. This isn't, just to make it clear, this isn't coming from a historical, it's coming from the undesignated fund, and I believe the need is for affordable housing, which is one of the areas that the CPC will fund projects in.
Yeah, this project will provide 96 units of housing to the list that Ben was talking about earlier. So that alone will increase our rate by approximately 0.75%.
And do you remember the amount of the project that we funded last year? Or
$1.3 million.
1.3 million?
Yes.
Thank you.
That was 1.4, but okay.
My point is that we've already put 1.3 million into this, and now we're asking to do this another $500,000. Are we going to be looking in the future for more money on this? As I remember, Hebrew Senior Center is a for-profit company.
So we're a nonprofit organization, and our hope is that, in fact, we go in the opposite direction, that after town meeting, but prior to us beginning construction, if all works out well, we actually withdraw the request for $500,000. The reason we're making the request at all is it's important that we begin construction in June or July. We have to make sure that we have sufficient resources to build the building. And because you have your annual town meeting just once a year, we needed to create this request and call it sort of this macroeconomic reserve so that the funding is there if necessary. But we stand with you with the hope that with the intent and the hope that we withdraw that request.
What's going through my mind on this is we gave you $1.3 million of tax money, and our taxes fund the CPC. So our tax money is going into funding you for an extra $500,000. Are we going to be seeing, if you don't withdraw it and something happens in the middle of construction, are you going to come back and ask us for more money?
I don't see that happening now. On the other new construction...
I'm just really concerned.
Joel, Dawn, Ian, Mike. Sorry, Ben, Joel, Dawn, Ian. Mark? Yeah, you're good. All right.
Through you, Madam Chair. So what are the parameters of eligibility to attend the Hebrew Senior Life Center in terms of age and income?
The age is 62 and older to move into this community. The income could range between zero income up to, similar to what Colleen mentioned, about $70,000 per year of income.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joel? I had to start writing.
I understand the reasoning for the reserve, which is fine. But the question I have is something you said earlier. Is any of this project being funded by federal government, federal money?
So, yes. Via the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities at the state, which is providing us with an extraordinary amount of resources for this project to move forward. Some of those funds are coming from the federal government, point one. Point two, some of the operating subsidy that allows for very low-income seniors to move in comes from the federal government.
So because of that funding, that's why you have to do this Buy American?
That's exactly right.
Okay, so if the state took over all the funding, could we bypass that?
Good question. We've asked that a few times. Is there any way for us to substitute state dollars for the federal dollars? There's not enough state dollars to do that.
Oh, well, you got a problem.
Thank you. How much total funding, how much is this total project coming from all the funding sources? I know.
About $62 million.
Thank you. I know we were probably told this last year. I just don't remember. Dawn?
Thank you. I know a standard 21E phase evaluation doesn't usually include soil or water sampling. So if a contamination is suspected, phase 2 would have the assessment to require laboratory testing on that. Who would be paying for that?
So the phase, you're exactly right. The phase 1 indicated that there was no need to do phase 2 testing, but if there was, we would pay for that. Hebrew Senior Life would pay for that.
Okay, thank you.
Ian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What kind of guardrails or protection with this 500,000? Because I understand that it's sort of reserved, but then there is the fear that with a construction project, if somebody's aware that the reserve exists, then all of a sudden the price matches the reserve.
The general contractor has no idea about the sources of funding that we have going into this project. And we have been working very closely with them on value engineering to reduce the price of the construction project. So they don't know about this $500,000 reserve. They don't know about any of the money going into the project. We have just said to them, right now, we have to continue to trim the construction budget for us to get to a construction start.
On that point, because these are public hearings, so I mean, it's not necessarily hidden if they want to.
They may know now.
Yes. And we do have Stoughton has kind of gotten to the habit of doing multiple town meetings, so could this possibly come before an autumn town meeting?
No, because we need to begin construction at sort of the end of June or July. So waiting until the fall would put that construction start at risk. And that would put the construction pricing at risk because they're not going to hold their pricing indefinitely.
Okay.
If I could add, there is a timeline because the construction loan closing is scheduled for, I believe, June, is it not?
End of June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any members of the committee have any questions? If any members of the audience would like to speak on this article, Cynthia, then Rich.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. On behalf of Stoughton seniors who are desperate for housing, I want to thank you ladies for all of the time and commitment and the number of meetings you've gone to and the calmness and dignity when you respond to some, in some cases, outrageous remarks.
Thank you. Rich?
I wouldn't have turned it off if I knew you needed it.
Richard Terry, I am a member of the planning board. And when we reviewed this project, we reviewed all the properties that the Hebrew Senior Centers around the state. They are the most well-run, most efficient, they don't cut any corners, and every time they've gone to a project in Brookline, Dedham, Canton, Randolph, they've done a superlative job. And the request that they are making today is a very reasonable one considering the volatility of the market. In addition, this planning board, Stoughton Planning Board, approved this unanimously. And the concern about pollution is a correct assumption. It did happen. It's getting better, but it's still there. But it doesn't affect the 5 acres of land at that 25-acre lot, which is typically called Porter's Hollow, prior to the owner donating to this group. But the 5 acres is in the corner of Simpson and Canton, well away from any contamination. And the people who will be living there ultimately will not have access to that portion of land. So it's really irrelevant in the scheme of things because it's been approved by conservation and they're tough. Jim, the Conservation Preservation Enforcement Officer, does his job faithfully. Thank you. And the Conservation Commission, I know many of those, they are very conservative people on our side, and they wouldn't have given their approval to pass on to the planning board before we could make our approval. So I strongly recommend that we support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the audience like to speak on this article? Sure.
This is a quick question. Do you have a general contractor on board now? Can you tell us who it is?
Yes, we have Delbrook Construction is the general contractor.
Who is?
Delbrook.
Oh, Delbrook. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I mean, I recognize your architect, Demilla Schaefer. Worked with them in the past, so okay.
Jonna?
Thank you, through you, Carolyn. Will we have the information for the new lab results that you have for Phase 2 in time for town meeting?
I don't think they have to do a Phase 2 based on what they've said from Phase 1.
No, she said she did do Phase 2.
We did not do a Phase 2 because the Phase 1 said there was no need to do that. What we're going to do, and we'll do this tomorrow, is we'll make sure that Mark has a copy of the updated Phase 1 report, which was done just literally 2 weeks ago. So
And
that
he-
will be that is a public document, and you are more than welcome to read that.
He can forward that to us. I mean, and
Yeah.
it may help me at least. I don't know if anywhere has like a sketch of the property, like where the purported contamination was and where the building is, so like I can see it visually.
Yep.
I think that might help some of us be reassured. I understand what you're saying, and I think overall it's a good project, but I think, these fears are real, and I think I would like to just see to make sure, and I think having a picture would help.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is Article 30, CPC Article Stoughton Bank Lofts Historic Preservation. And this article is for $190,000 to come from $81,624 from the Historic Resources Fund balance and $108,376 from the FY 2027 budgeted Historic Resources Reserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. I'm here to present the...
yourself.
I'm sorry. My name is Sudhir Raghunath. I'm the owner of the building, 810 Washington Street. This bank building, it's like over 120-year-old bank building. And here the plan is to restore it and convert into residential unit with some commercial space in it. And right now the building is underutilized and starting to fall apart. And it is also, adding some housing in the walkable downtown area, in the restaurants and the public transport nearby. And the big part of the restoration we are seeking the CPC funds is to restore the masonry and strengthening some structure and keeping the original details of the building. And I also want to thank the town planner and historical society for the support throughout this process, and also Barry and Dwight for their guidance in helping putting this together in front of the CPC board.
Okay, thank you. Can you just explain, because we're talking about the bank that's at the corner, like at the V.
Yeah, at the
right?
B's and
The old
the
Bay Bank.
intersection.
Yeah. Can you explain what you're going to be doing with the property?
Yes. So we're going to be, currently it is being used as a commercial space, and it's been renovated maybe like 20, 30 years ago, like interior, not anything happens and done on the exterior part of the building. So we are currently renovating the entire building inside to put some 9 residential units, smaller residential units and 1 commercial space. And also restoring the exterior part of the building to keep the original structure as intact.
Okay, and the apartments, are they going to be, are they all market rate housing?
Yes, they're going to be all
Okay.
market. It's going to be a small units, like it's like a single bed unit.
If I could clarify, the part of it that the CPA funds would be supporting is the exterior renovation.
All right, it's just historical?
Correct.
Okay. Mark, Ben, and then I'm sure other people will find a question to ask.
Yes, hi.
It's been a long week.
So I just wanted to make sure that I was looking at everything correctly. Basically almost half of the renovations you are paying for, and half of the renovations to the exterior. Half of the renovations will be through you, and half of it will be through the CPC, correct?
Yes, that's what my
Roughly about,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the numbers right. I'm like,
Yeah.
is it the full 200? No, it looks
Yeah.
like it half. So I just
So
wanted
we
to double
got
check.
2 current codes, so based on that, like, instead of asking for the full, like, we are asking for some part of the CPC to fund for the project.
Correct. Yes. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Ben?
So I understand this is a fully private building?
Yes.
Why is it the taxpayer responsible for making these repairs?
So it's like currently, like the historical society is considering is a part of the history. It's like a 120-year-old bank building, like it's been part of the Stoughton history. So like historical society is kind of helping, like, wants us to renovate and keep the structure. Like, before we had an option to take those 2 buildings out to put the apartments, but like, because of the recommendation, we thought, okay, if we can't go this route in order to renovate and keep the building as it is.
If I could expand on that, the question isn't whether the town is responsible for restoring a private property. Any property that's in a public space, especially one that's in a space that is in the center of town, is something that is, in other words, rather than let a building that's in the center of town fall apart and deteriorate, if the town has the resources to work with the owner to make it a better property and to beautify the downtown, then that's a very, in my opinion, very appropriate use for the public money in this case.
I mean, but why can't the owner make the repairs as opposed to having to use public money?
The owner is basically splitting the cost with the town on this particular portion of that renovation.
And extensively, all the funds will be utilized for the exterior part of the building, nothing to do with the interior. This is just like the masonry part and the historical windows restoration part of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Arnie?
Hi, me again. Once this restoration is done, who then is responsible for maintaining the outside of the building in its renovated form?
Like we will be maintaining, like, we allocated some funds for the keeping maintenance of the cost of the building going forward.
My concern is that you're going to come back and ask for more money for maintenance on it, and I just want to make sure that we are Let me rephrase it. Is this going to be a one-time funding?
Yes.
Yeah, if I could also answer that. CPA funds cannot be used for maintenance.
Okay, that answers my question.
Thank you. Joel?
If this article isn't approved, what happens?
We're gonna be still going with it, like we'll be still restoring the building, but some of the funds will not be utilized for the exterior part, like, just, it's gonna be a tough one, as we are there spending a lot of money in restoring the whole building, and this part will not be, getting me any money going forward.
But your organization actually owns the building?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dawn and Lauren? Or Lauren and, yeah.
So because the CPC is helping, does that mean you can't change the frame of the building? Like you have to keep the building as it is frame-wise because it's historical? Is that what I'm understanding here?
Let me address that. The presentation made by Mr. Raghunath was not to modify the exterior, but to renovate it in accordance with the standards that are standards of the Department of the Interior for historic renovation.
So
if they were to, want to completely change the exterior, that would not be within the standards.
Okay.
And we would probably go back and want our money back if we wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And just to want to clarify, there will be a little extension in the back of the building where currently it's only built up to the second floor, so we are bringing up to the third floor so that the whole building is level. Just want to clarify.
So the whole building is 3 floors?
Yes.
Yeah, we know about that, but the basic look of the exterior, especially as you see it
Especially
from
the
the
part
front,
from the square.
will remain.
An important question regarding residential. What about parking?
So we currently own the building next to it. We are giving the parking spots designated for this building inside that, and it is being approved by the town planner. We went with the meeting.
Any members of the committee have any other questions? At least for now. All right, I'll open it up to the members of the public. Cynthia, then Natasha.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. There is no one alive today who can remember Stoughton Square without that building. It's not quite as old as the railroad station. I guess it's 18 years younger. But it's part of the face of Stoughton. And when you give directions, you go the left of the bank, the right of the bank. My parents actually banked there when it was a bank. So I think it's important to keep that there. What goes on behind the facade? More housing near the railroad station, and also as I say, walkability and all of that stuff. I only see that as a positive. People want to live in the square. I mean, before buildings are even finished, they've got them rented out. A lot of younger folks rely on public transportation. They might be 25 and 30 and don't even have a driver's license. So I think this is important to add housing to the square, but also to keep that figurehead at that end of the square. Thank you.
Thank you. Natasha?
Natasha Gomes, Precinct 2. While I understand that there may be other renovations going on to the building in addition to what the CBC, whatever the 3 letters are, funding that will be provided, who is going to monitor that the money that they're getting from the taxpayer dollar is used for what it said it's going to be used for?
The CPC will monitor it. Any project that the CPC recommends, that is approved by town meeting, and there are people in this room who can verify this, has to come back to the CPC periodically during the course of construction and report on what is going on and what is done, provide photographs if necessary. So we have a rotating schedule. Everything that has been approved comes back to us roughly every 3 or 4 months, sometimes every 6 months, but depends
Okay,
on the
that's great
project.
to hear, and I just have one.
Go right ahead.
With regards to the parking, there's been, again, a lot of existing conversation about the importance of parking and parking availability in that area. How are you proposing to control the tenants' parking to ensure that retail parking is not being interrupted by people that live in that area and may leave their car there to take the train or whatever, so have you?
So they have the designated parkings for whoever will be the tenants of this building. So we do have that. So we will try to enforce that they have to park in the designated areas.
How many parking spaces do you have
So the
planned
next
for the building?
has like about 24 parking spots. So we have given like 5 for this project at this point.
And you're talking like, what, 8 or 9 units in this?
Yeah.
Is it going to be an elevator?
There won't be elevator going forward because that elevator cannot be, I mean, it can be modernized, but it's costing me almost like $600,000 just to renovate it because it's like an old elevator and there is nobody manufactured the same size anymore. So we went through that part and it's like
Okay.
there is no return on the money on that at this point. Like,
Yeah, all the elevators are bigger.
yes. And based on the code, like we don't need an elevator if it is 3
Yep.
stories or less.
Thank you. Rich?
Richard Terry, a member of the planning board. On this particular project, the parking concerns were tantamount to us, and they've met all the requirements of the parking, and there's no special permit for reduction in parking, so he's got plenty of parking, so that concern should be resolved.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on this article? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Our next article is Article 31, which is a closed out of, CPC closeout of prior authorizations.
Yep, I'll speak to this one. We have 3 projects which have been completed, and there's some money left over on 2 of them, and we'll just be going to town meeting and asking for an official closeout from town meeting so that that money can go back into the CPA fund and be used for other projects.
Thank you. And just in case anyone wants to know, we're looking, you want to close out the railroad station rehabilitation, which has no balance left. Dennison Fields design phase, which has about $7,480 left. And then the Marksfield rehab design phase, which has about a couple of $1,000 left. Those are the 3 projects.
Yes, the last 2 are design phases for projects which are, well, actually, yeah, which will be under construction. The Dennison Field is on this agenda, which you heard from Matt Cushon before, and Marksfield is being constructed and should be finished fairly shortly.
Yeah, I think we voted on that already at town meeting.
Yep.
Okay, any questions, Joel?
Yeah, very quick question. Are we all done with the pocket park at the high school, or can you close that out yet?
That has been closed out.
It has been closed out? So everything at the high school's been closed out?
And anything we've funded has been.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That was.
Any other questions or comments from members of the committee on this? Open it up to members of the public. Anyone want to make any questions or comments on this article? Not seeing anybody. I'm going to, thank you, Barry. I am moving on to, we have an article. Our next article is Article 38. It's a petitioned article. So I'd ask the petitioner to come forth and introduce herself and just explain what this article is. And I believe for the, what article number is it? 38. Yeah. Oh, I got a zoning article in here. That's 36. 37. So this is an article for land in, a land acknowledgement sign, and they're looking for a price not to exceed $5,000. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Sylvia Whiting. I'm from Precinct 6, and I had filed this land acknowledgement a few years ago. We had Indigenous Peoples' Day approved by town meeting, and this is sort of an extension of that, or at least a way to really legitimize that. The land acknowledgement, what we're requesting is that signage be put up at Echo Park as our initial sign site to acknowledge that that land was formerly Indigenous land. Some of it is still Indigenous owned by the Massachusetts tribe, part of the Ponkapog. And so we're asking that signage be put up there. This would not only include signage, but we're asking with the 300th anniversary celebration that we incorporate some sort of an event around the signage so that the town will be informed as to what the signage means and know about it and understand what the land is all about and why we're acknowledging the early settlers of this area. We'd also like to put out some promotional materials, which would be printed materials so that people could walk away with some information about land acknowledgement, and also hopefully have some events around Indigenous Peoples' Day, which is the second Monday in October.
Who will be controlling the money and putting the sign actually up there?
The town will be involved. They've actually acknowledged that we would have the sign designed and prepared, and they would be able to install it. So I think that part of the cost would be paying for the sign, but some of the cost would be absorbed by the town.
Who's the we that's going to design it?
We have somebody from the tribe who's giving consulting on this. So he would be approving the language on the sign and the type of sign. There are signs out there already. I don't know if it would be exactly similar to those signs or we'd do something different. So we've looked at some costs. And
I think my question is, I'm not trying, I don't have, I think my question is, who's making, who's controlling the money here for the $5,000? I think that's I'm just confused. Which entity, who are we giving this money to pay for the sign and everything?
Well, the town would be, whatever costs we incur would be paid for by the town. I don't exactly know how that works, how it actually
think that's
works.
where I personally have no problem with the whole concept of the sign and of the sign itself, but I don't know who is, it's not like I could go say, is this a particular town department that's putting it up there responsible for overseeing the project and collecting the money and paying the bills?
We had consulted with the town manager's office, the engineering department, and the select board. Deborah Roberts had been involved in some of these discussions. So I don't know. I don't really know. I have no idea how funding
Mark,
would actually help.
Do you have any information on this?
Thank you.
Well, I think with any use of town funds, we would set up an account with our accounting department, and all invoices would have to be approved through the town manager's office.
So this would likely be going through the town manager's office as the town department that's going to handle it. That's what I wanted to know. No, I'm sure you didn't. I think in this position, I wanted to know that. Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions? Mark?
Is this sign going to be like the other historical signs that are around town for different locations?
It could be. We haven't gotten that far as to, we're working with the Historical Society as far as placement of the sign and acknowledging exactly where it would be located, and that this land was actually native land. As far as the actual sign itself, I know there are some slanted signs. There's one outside of here on Town Hall property. We're not sure if it would be like that. Some of them haven't stood up very well to the weather, so we're considering, something that's going to be lasting and not have to be replaced in the near future because the materials don't stand up. So some of the signs are actually a metal sign that's engraved, which I've seen for land acknowledgement in other locations in Massachusetts, and they're like lasting for indefinite periods of time. So we're not sure what type, what the sign would look like. My preference would be something like that rather than the slanted signs that has like a plastic over them with the.
Have you thought of these signs before you go into the parks where they're made out of wood and they have the doors where it open? You can add things and change it periodically for different things.
Well, this would be a permanent land
Yeah,
acknowledgement, so there probably wouldn't be any language change.
You could have the permanent up above, and then you could add seasonal things and change it up a little bit. There are different histories of what went on with the property.
Usually the land acknowledgement is a statement, and it would acknowledge the tribe, it would acknowledge the location.
Right.
So.
Well, you
but
were saying with brochures, if you did
Yes.
like this, you could have like the little pamphlets on the side
Yes,
of it.
we could
and-
do that.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking of
Yes.
broadening it to make it more
That might be the
useful.
next project.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Becca?
Hi. I really like this. You keep referring to we. Is there a committee you're referring to?
We do have a group of us who are working with, actually, it's Thomas Green, who's the member of the tribe, of the Massachusetts Punkapog tribe, and he's been helping us and a couple other folks in town. Let me see who else. The Historical Commission, Dwight McCarran, David Lambert, Susan Stewart is also involved, and then Jasmine Tangway is involved. So there's a couple of us who have a committee that have been working on this. Since after Indigenous Peoples' Day was approved a couple years ago, they got involved in having an event. We would like the town to really adopt Indigenous Peoples' Day like we do the 4th of July or Juneteenth or Martin Luther King Day. That hasn't happened yet, but we feel that this is another step forward in really sharing the early history. And with the 300th anniversary, it's an ideal time to really look back before 300 years, because this town, there was a lot going on here before that time, and I think it's really important that we all know about that.
Okay. One of the things you said before about the different signs around town, all I could think about was Rec doing a, you know how they do the bunny, like look for the bunny and do the pictures, like, you can go around and look for the different signs around town. That'd be neat.
Well, yes, it could be put on the map of, let's find this sign, let's find that sign, and yes. And there are a lot of other locations in town that eventually we would like to have land acknowledgement at other locations, not just there, even at Town Hall. Because this land, this whole area was indigenous land. It was the summer place, and actually the winter location for the tribes. The tribes went to the coastline and then came back to this location, and this whole area was a very populated area.
Thank you. Heidi?
Thank you for bringing this forward to us and to town meeting. In research that I've done, there are 3 tribes that originated in this area. And you talked about the Wampanoag, and you talked about the Massachusetts, and you have a member of the Massachusetts tribe who is serving on this with you. Do you have anybody from the other tribal nations? I'm going to destroy this. My tribe isn't from here. I don't speak the languages out here. Peconiket?
They were not actually, from what I understand, not located in this area. It was the Massachusetts tribe, and I'm not sure the Ponkapog, that Wampanoag was not in this location.
Okay.
They might have traveled through here, but to actually who resided here, that was not weren't the tribes that did.
Okay. In my research, I've seen these 3, and my understanding is that the Peconiket is a band of the Wampanoag. So I just want to make sure that we do our due diligence and make sure that we honor the people who were here.
Yes, that's who's
not just the-
yeah, we're.
And I don't, you know, I have a source here, I can share this with you, of tribes who are in this particular area. I just want to make sure that you have people representing those tribes who are going to be on the sign as a part of the conversation. And you're talking about doing these other things about having Indigenous Peoples Day, having those people also invited, and, you know, for the 300 celebration, to invite the tribes to come and also be a part of that. So I think Cynthia's on that committee. But I think though that's really important because it's all about representation.
Yes, exactly.
And so that's just something that I would like to see with this. You know, I can advise, but my tribe isn't from this area, and so I can't speak for the people who are from this area.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the committee? I'm going to open it up to members of the public. Are there any questions or comments from members of the public on this article? Natasha?
Natasha Gomes, Precinct 2, and I support any endeavor like this to recognize those that came before us. I would caution the committee as they think about approving this and yourself. Advocacy can quickly become silence, and so the fact that we don't see those people here may be a timing issue why they're not here, but hopefully we do see them to ensure that whatever the community wants to put up to represent them is actually something that they endorse and can support and speak to.
Any final product that we put out, we have the consultation from the tribe, and that's who's working on our committee. So yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They're going to have final say. They've participated in our events each year. We've had 2 Indigenous Peoples Day events, so hopefully the town will get more involved in what we do, because we really want it to be a town event, not just a small committee event.
Yeah, and I think, I'm not sure if this is what you were making the point of, Natasha, but we as the committee that you've talked about, the people that have been working with you on this, I think if some of them, you know, should be at town meeting as well. I know you're the petitioner.
Yeah, he probably will be. We are actually supposedly paying him to consult with us without any funding. So at this point, we do have a grant for Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
But for him to come tonight, he
that's
couldn't.
fine for him,
But I
but
think
I'm also-
hopefully he's going to be presenting at town meeting.
I think it would be important at town meeting for them to see also, you said that there have been other people in the town that have been working with you on it. I think they need to also step at town meeting as the presenters as well.
Exactly.
Because you keep using the "we," but we only see you, and that's going to get
Well,
confusing.
yeah,
for
timing, people just weren't
I
available.
understand, but it's going to get confusing on the town meeting floor, so I think that would be helpful.
Yes.
Anyone else? Ben?
So I understand this is not to exceed $5,000, this one article?
Yes.
Okay, now, is this going to be a one-time thing, or is it going to be something that could reoccur?
Well, we're hoping for additional sites, and we're hoping for continued funding for Indigenous Peoples Day, such as the town funds Martin Luther King Day, the 4th of July, Memorial Day, other days like that. And so it is an approved town holiday, and so we're hoping that the town will set aside funding for that in the future. We haven't asked for it yet, and if other sites are identified that we feel that acknowledgement would be appropriate, like land acknowledgement, then yes, we would come back for additional funding. With the 300th anniversary and it being the day when it transitioned from Indigenous land to Stoughton land, it's certainly an appropriate time to have some funding and do this during this year. We don't know what people will do in the future.
Okay, have you sought out private funding too for this endeavor?
Not for this specifically. We did get a grant for Indigenous Peoples Day from the Cultural Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Oh, sorry. I keep playing with the button so that I accidentally turn it off. I apologize. We are now on to the special town meeting article of May 4th, which is Article 20, the Halloran Park Walkway and Seating Area Project.
This is
Chairman.
not, that's a misprint. That is not
Okay.
Article 20.
Should
That's
be
Article
22.
22.
Thank you. I apologize. It's Article 22. It's the Halloran Park Walkway and Seating Area Project of the special town meeting warrant. Oh, this is the wrong one. Do you have it printed off? So, hi, if you could just identify yourself and explain the article.
Hello, Madam Chair and members of
apologize.
FinCom. My name is Deborah Roberts, Precinct 6. I am the chair of the Stoughton Equal Opportunity Committee, SEOC, and on the Select Board. Article 22. The Stoughton Equal Opportunity Committee had the idea of having a place within the town that would allow for small, intimate gatherings. We reached out to the development services to help us find an area and help us design such a space. Development Services was very helpful, and in conjunction with the Recreation Department, found a location within Halloran Park. The space was an informal gathering area with granite boulders arranged in a circle that is used by the library for storytime program that they ran. SEOC's goal was to formalize the space and make it accessible to all. With the help of the Development Services team, a design was created that achieved our goals, which is what the SEOC is bringing forward with this article.
Thank you, and it's, the amount of the article is $20,000 coming from free cash to fund this.
That is correct.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Ian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Selectwoman Roberts. I remember when Halloran Park was first kind of renovated, and this was a great space, but that specific area was graveled over, which seemed great the first year. By the second year, it was kind of covered with weeds. So could you just talk a little bit about more of the, I think, the details of the project in terms of, will the plan be a little bit more kind of evergreen in terms of not necessarily requiring heavy maintenance years 2, 3, 4 onwards?
Thank you so very much for that question. So the area that that was offered to us or suggested is the area in Halloran Park where there's that large boulder. And if you would recall, you would see, I would say, let me just call the person's name. Peggy Sewick would be out and about, and she would have story time for the young people, for the young students. So it's that area. That area will be landscaped with concrete and will have half-moon-shaped benches to make it comfortable. And the whole tagline, it's everyone is welcome or has a seat here. So it's a welcoming, inviting, it's a continuation. And I would like to use the word, it's an enhanced area because it's already currently used for story time, and people can go out if they wanted to meditate and look over the park area. But this would be a little more comfortable. It would have, I call it a paved area of concrete, but then it would have the concrete benches, and it would be an easy seating area.
Are there any sketches available, like, you found one?
The one that's there doesn't have where it is in relation.
Right, like,
Oh,
we're
you're
trying to figure
it out.
like, where it is, because, you know, where it is
I'm going to
on
turn
map.
around to ask Mark. Yeah.
I know I don't have a mic. I just want to, is it the area between where the slide is and?
Yes. Yes.
And the field?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I can give you a little more detail.
Yeah,
So,
I think
you know, with the-
that's what, I'm struggling, I need pictures.
So you got the, where the playground is, with the slide and all that. It's actually, if you look at the playground, there's a walkway that goes down to the playground. It's to the right of that walkway. It's a kind of like a level area.
Okay, that big boulder.
Yes.
There's-
Going down towards the playground, but it's on the side.
It's on the right side. Yep.
That's it.
So it's-
I am so sorry.
Yes,
It is
that's it.
going down to the playground from where the field is, and then as you walk down that pathway, the playground's on your left, and the big boulder's on your right,
Yes.
and that's where you're talking about putting this area.
Exactly.
Thank you. Now I know. I will rest better now.
Okay.
Any members of the committee have any other questions? Becca?
Not a question, but Mark, since I have you, when are we putting bathrooms at Halloran Park?
Always ask me the tough questions.
You don't have to answer it. I just want to put that on record.
Just throwing it out there. Anyone else? Any members of the public would like to speak on this? Oh, Heidi, and then Cynthia, then Natasha. And at this point, I think that's all who's left here in the public, but, you know.
The diehards. So I'm piecing together where this is going to be. Isn't there like a green utility box there?
There's some kind of box over there, but this won't be impacting the box. It'll be to the right of the box.
Is it like 10 feet away or 5?
It's a few feet away, actually, yeah. So pretty much the box, there's a walkway that comes from the parking spaces, right? So if you can envision the walkway that goes down to the playground, that curves to the left, this walkway will branch off that and go straight to where those little rocks are that the kids sit on for story time. So it won't impact the box, and I believe it's at least, if I was going to guess, 5 to 10 feet at least away from that box, in that range.
Okay. Is the cover on the box secure? Because that would just be something my kids would have just
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something
gravitated towards.
we'll ensure is secure as part of the project.
Yeah, put like a thorny bush there or something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cynthia?
Cynthia, I think I've worn this thing out.
That's when it's time to go home, I guess.
Ta-da! Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. This also relates to the previous article. We have places in town named after people. And there's very few folks that know who John Holleran was. And perhaps somewhere in this park, there could be a plaque. It doesn't have to be a huge sign or a big post, but a plaque. As far as I know, Mr. Halleran was the first Stoughton resident to die in World War II. That's why he got a park. And it's just a simple statement, maybe the years of his life, that he was born, probably in 1920-something, and when he passed away. It bothers me when I speak to people and I say, do you know why it's called the Augustin Silva House? Or do you know why it's called Rose 40? Or do you know why it's called the Civic Court? And people that have not lived in Stoughton 78 years like I have no idea. And we're talking about the kids. It might do some children some good to see the sacrifice that other Stoughton residents have made so that they can have a nice little park and a little meditation area or a puppet show area or whatever.
Thank you. Natasha?
Natasha Gomes, Precinct 2. So the area that I think we're talking about, I don't know, I have feedback happening, but it's sloped, and it's sloped very cautiously right now and is seamless with the walkway where it attaches to the park. So will that land be going up to accommodate this or down, and will it like have a retaining wall now? Because it slopes, you know, kids are rolling down this slope. It's not a little slope to the fence.
I can answer that. The area is actually, where we're working is relatively flat. It's gently sloping, but where you're referring to is after where the work would be. It's kind of rolls down to where the fence is, so we're not impacting that area. It's in front of that area. It's just a much smaller area.
All right. Any other questions or comments on this article? Not hearing any. I would love a motion to continue these public hearings to Wednesday, March 5th, 2026 at 7 p.m. here. March 25th. All right. That one I think I got right. All right. I messed up a bunch of other things tonight, but I got that one. So would somebody please make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. So the motion was made to continue both the public hearings for the annual town meeting and the special town meeting of May 4th to Wednesday, March 25th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Great Hall. All those made by Becca, seconded by Heidi. All those who are in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Anyone abstaining? There was the next item of the article of the agenda, which we will postpone. Because I guess I was overly optimistic that we would get through some of these, we could start voting, but it is 11 o'clock at night, and no good things happen after 11 o'clock when we start making decisions. So I would love a motion to adjourn. So Dawn's made a motion to adjourn, seconded by Arnie. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, and I appreciate you pausing from getting all your coats on and running out of the meeting until we actually did the motion to adjourn. So thank you, everybody, and have a great evening and a nice weekend.